Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Here we are once again on the show.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show tonight, man. This is another one of the damn
This was an interesting story.
child killer. I'm gonna get mad tonight.
Probably.
I'm gonna get mad.
I'm gonna say though, the thing about this guy, the weird thing about it is that, you guys know like what a true crime fucking weirdo I am, right? I can't believe that I hadn't really heard of this guy. Like, I'd kind of heard his name like randomly. But the thing about him is, like, he's very significant in true crime history, not because, oh, he killed more people or he did more fucked up shit or anything like that, but because he was the first person caught, technically, kind of, using DNA technology back in the 80s, which we will get into. And, I didn't want to call him a serial killer because he killed 2 girls. He was a serial sex offender, though, big time. And, but I am convinced if they had not caught him when they did,
He would have been a
he
serial
would
killer.
have kept on going because it was escalating, clearly.
Right. See, the reason why we're saying this is because we're Americans, and under the FBI standards to classify as a serial killer, you must kill 3.
Yeah.
And it has to be basically for sexual purposes.
Which
It's
these
usually
absolutely were, but
Yeah.
he did too, and then
He got caught.
he got caught eventually. But like
He
I
would have
said,
been one, though.
he was a serial sex offender for sure. Like,
Yeah.
he was actually convicted of other sex offenses also, other rapes, other...
That fits a profile.
Yeah.
Pretty much, if you're a serial killer, you're also you're a serial sex offender. You
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
start off as a serial rapist.
That's what he started as. He started out as a flasher, actually.
Yeah. Many
that
of
was
them start off as peeping toms.
Peeping Toms, yeah.
That's the most
Peeping
common
Toms,
one.
flashers. Like I said, and that's why, and we've said this before, I just kind of feel like all of these motherfuckers that like started as like Peeping Toms, or flashing people, it's like I think people think of that as like no big deal, kind of. Maybe less so nowadays. But I kind of feel like for a long time people were like, it's not, whatever, he's just looking in the window. But it's like that leads to worse shit later on. That is definitely like a symptom of some fucking pathology.
You gotta look at it this way. It's like a funnel.
Yeah.
There's a shit ton of peeping toms. That tends to lead to another thing, though. Each step gets smaller and smaller. Eventually, it leads down to serial rapist, and then the serial rapist usually modifies himself into a serial killer, so he can continue to rape. He's just killing the
because
witness.
he doesn't want them to identify him.
A lot of times, one of the patterns is that a serial rapist goes to prison, does a bunch of time, gets out. He doesn't want to go back to prison, so he kills the
Yeah, he'll escalate,
victim.
like I said.
He'll escalate.
And serial killers tend to escalate
Right.
anyway.
Now, most peeping toms do not become serial killers. Big difference.
Yeah.
But most serial killers start off as
Peeping Toms. And you never know which one's gonna go the full distance.
Right.
So it's like that's some shit that needs to be nipped in the bud.
Yeah.
Very early on. Like I said, they're not all gonna become serial killers, but that's right on that road. So you really need to like fucking intervene as early as possible. CB says this piece of dog crap got denied parole again last year. Yes, he did. Mango says I live near Leicestershire. This twat is well known in the UK. Yeah, he's like super well known over there. I feel like he's less well known over here. Life is a gift, LOL, says, did he kill people with a pitchfork? He did not. And the thing about it is that I thought Colin Pitchfork is his name. I was like, that sounds like a fake ass. That sounds like a wrestler name or something. Yeah. No, that's his real ass name. That was his parents' names and everything.
Well, in English,
it was it was like a family name over there.
In English, people were named after what their jobs were. They're a miller.
Yeah.
They're a smith.
It's just Pitchfork to us sounds weird. I was like, that sounds like a fake ass name. It's not though.
Named after a tool.
Yeah, that's his real last name.
Yeah.
Which, I was like,
with
a name like that, you would think, that was his dad's last name too, and his dad was presumably not a serial killer. But I'm just saying that
I can see how that could be an English name though.
It is, yeah. Well, it is.
Right.
So I guess I don't know how common it is because that's the first time I had ever heard of anyone with the last name of that. Because at first I was like, wait, is that his real name or is that just what they call him?
Well, I could also imagine English names being shit like Millstone.
That's less weird to me. Yeah. Even though I know that's also like tool. A thing, like a tool.
Yeah.
That'd be like somebody's last name being like wrench.
Does Millstone exist? It should.
I'm sure it does.
It should be easily to name a motherfucker Millstone.
Yeah, because I feel like in the Middle Ages,
right, yeah.
wasn't the Middle Ages roughly like when people started having surnames? Mm-hmm. And usually, they would give like where you were from or what the village looked like around you, like if you lived near a lake or some shit like that, or what your job was or something. That's why we have last names like Baker and crap like that. It's because of that. Because for a long time, like, people didn't really have last names as such. I feel like you were just first name from wherever you were from.
Yeah. I'm
like, so what happens if somebody else is also from there and is also named the same thing?
Yeah.
Then you're kind of fucked. You be getting their mail all the time.
Yeah.
People be confusing you. You be getting their bills. Yeah, it's like, I know that's not how it worked out. But yeah. So that is actually his real name. But yeah, so there was there's been a lot of shows about this. There was a book by Joseph Wamba, who is an American writer, and he wrote a book about this motherfucker. And there's been a bunch of documentaries about him. There was a Forensic Files one, because that was mostly focusing on the DNA aspect. The weird thing about it is that it so happened that the breakthrough in DNA, or what in the 80s they called genetic fingerprinting, happened at Leicester University, which was like only a couple of miles from where the murders took place. I guess maybe that's what gave them the idea, because there had been news stories about what the scientists there were working on. One scientist in particular, who I'm going to talk about a little bit, but then the cops were like, hey, like, why don't we try this out? And that's really cool of them that they actually were like, hey, maybe this could help us catch the guy.
Mango says Millstone does exist.
Yeah, I thought so.
And I made that shit up. I've never heard.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a name. That doesn't sound like a weird last name to me.
My name is Ross. That's my surname. And I've tried to look into what a Ross is, and as best I can really figure it out, it might be a Norman name originally, Norman English name. And in Latin languages, R and H are kind of interchangeable in between. So it might also be Hoss, because if you say my name in Portuguese or Spanish, you would pronounce it Hoss, which might be horse. Yeah. Ross might be horse, which makes sense. They might be named after somebody who works in a stable.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it is.
That's usually the name of the
thing. Yeah. The dude, Tom, the one with the horses. The horse guy.
The horse Tom.
He works in the stable, horse guy.
We got horse Tom, we got bread Tom.
Yeah.
We got weirdo Tom. We got fucking, whatever.
Yeah, horse.
You still do that shit nowadays if you know like more than one person with the same name. You're like,
right. Now
tall whoever, short whoever,
there
fat
might
whoever.
be a Gaelic version, which a Ross might be a spire of land sticking out into the water, like a point.
Yeah.
But we got people here from the UK probably. We got some guys from England here. I don't know if we have anybody from Scotland or Wales or Ireland. Maybe they have a different interpretation of what a Ross is. I know that name was very common in Scotland. There was some Rosses that were in a damn clan war with each other for a long time.
Ross versus Ross.
No, it was Rosses versus some other people.
It's funnier saying
fighting,
Ross versus Ross.
Yeah, fighting inside Scotland. Yeah.
My maiden name that I was born with was Mitchell. So I don't know what that even means.
That sounds Scottish too.
It might be Scottish or Irish, I think.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure.
Now, a lot of Americans will say that, especially in the South, they'll kind of say that they're Irish, kind of in general. But I've doing research. Yeah, they're from Ireland, but they weren't Irish people from Ireland. They were Scottish people from Ireland. They were the Ulster Scots. They were Scottish people. The English banished them into Ireland and told them to basically oppress the Irish, to civilize them. But it didn't work out. A lot of them ran to the United States. They came in through Virginia, and then they just took over the South. Spread like cockroaches. Yeah. So there's not as many Irish in the United States as Americans
a lot of them did come over here.
They're mostly Scottish.
In the 19th century. Yeah. Granther says, my kid has a teacher named Mrs. Outlaw.
Yeah.
I wonder what the history is there.
Somebody was an outlaw.
That's an awesome name.
That's an awesome name. Somebody's ancestor was an outlaw. They took that name and they said, "Yeah, brother was a bad motherfucker.
I'm owning
I'm
it.
an outlaw too."
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I wish that was my last name. That'd be really cool.
An outlaw isn't necessarily a criminal.
You're just outside of the law.
You're just outside of it.
A
Right. Somebody that lives outside the town, outside the fucking county, in the woods.
You're not having it.
You're not having it. You're outside the law.
You're not having it.
Yeah. Which I found that out from, English history, British history, is that you were only fucking subject to the laws of the local county or lord. If you went outside and into somebody else's, at certain periods of history, it's not always, but if you went outside your designated area, you were kind of like an outlaw. People could do things to you and get away with it. Because you were kind of like you were being outside your hometown jurisdiction. And it was because serfs were supposed to stay on their land. You weren't supposed to go anywhere. You were like tied to it. That was my understanding. But it's a long time since I read about it or heard about it. So I might be wrong. But you could do things to outlaws and get away with it. You could kill an outlaw, and they weren't necessarily a criminal. That was some weird. That was a weird. It was just weird white people stuff. It was just the way the system worked out. It was feudalism.
American military said the historical significance of this case has always fascinated me. Yeah, me too. And it's like I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive on it because I'm like I can't believe I hadn't really dug deep into this guy's case before because it's so significant, like to crime history. Granther says Joseph Wambaugh wrote The Onion Field. That's right, and I read that a long time ago. And Lines and Shadows, both great true crime novels. Yeah, I saw like a little bit of an interview with him on YouTube where he was talking about this case and his book in particular, which is called The Blooding, and it's about him. And it said, CB said, what's most sickening was Colin Pitchfork's view of his victims was the younger the better. That's how much of a coward he is. He could only attack little girls. Yeah, and I feel like even after he got caught, even though he did confess because he knew he was busted, he tried to like minimize it. Yeah. I mean, they always do. He really seemed like a narcissistic, entitled piece of shit. The thing about it was that I was watching like a psychiatrist like kind of analyze him a little bit, and they were like, well, he has like a lot of psychopathic tendencies. I mean, obviously, but the thing that's weird about it is that he had a wife, he had a couple kids, and he had the same job for a long time. I think like 13 years or something like that. And like they said that's kind of unusual for people with psychopathic tendencies. Usually they can't stick to any one thing for that long.
He was high functioning.
But he was definitely a high functioning psychopath. But he kind of tried to make it, he tried to victim blame. These are little girls. They're 15, you know what I mean?
Don't blame girls for.
Yeah, and of course he's going to do that. And he didn't really give a shit. He was just kind of like, well, they were just there. And I was there, and I just, like, took him up on it. Like, I took the opportunity.
Papa's in the chat. What's up, Papa? Haven't seen you in a while, bro.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, and Papa said, wasn't this the first guy that got convicted with DNA evidence? Yes, he was. Actually, the interesting thing about it was that the DNA evidence was used to convict him, but that was, like, second. It was actually first used to exonerate the dude that they thought it was. You know what I mean? Like, the first suspect. Which and I'm not going to blame the cops for this because the suspect they had at first, that sounded like a pretty good suspect. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Like if I'd been there at the time, this is the 80s, right? I'd been like, yeah, that dude sounds super sus.
He was just another one of these guys.
Well, he was much younger than he was just a teenager, really. Right. But the victims were too. So
if he was a good candidate, though, that means he was as bad as this dude, probably.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll get into that.
You'll get into it? All right. Cool. Why did they suspect him?
For lots of reasons. But like I said, I'll get into that later on. And, and this was a big... this happened in a smallish village in Leicestershire. It was actually 2 villages, but there were like 3 villages kind of within a couple miles of each other that all kind of have like overlap. And, they had like no crime there. So this was like a big fucking deal, you know what I mean? Because this has never happened. Like, ever. So
did they have to call for outside help?
No, not really.
So
Other than the scientists that helped them with the DNA shit. I don't even think they brought in.
Good. So they had competent people.
I mean, yeah, they talked to, like, there's still, at least in the documentaries I watched, which are a few years old, like, they talked to a lot of the dudes that worked on the case, and, I mean, they're like, here's the thing, and one of the documentaries I saw made this point, they're like, look, they have no murders happen there. It's like, when one happens, they're all working on that shit, like, day and night, because they want to solve it.
Yeah.
Because everyone's freaking out. Like, this shit doesn't happen, you know what I mean? So it's like, they really did put all into it, but, you know, and this happens everywhere at all times, whenever somebody is murdered by a stranger to them, it's obviously much, much harder. And it was much harder to solve, like, back in the early to mid 80s, which these were. And, you know, because there's no connection. So they knew from pretty early on that it was probably somebody local, just by the nature of where the bodies were left and things like that. But I mean, it took them a while, but they did do their due diligence. I'm not shitting on the police for this case. They didn't really seem to do anything dumb or anything like that. And I admire that they jumped right on DNA testing, even though it was, like, unproven at this point, really. You know, it was a very new technology. They were like, yeah, let's try that. And to their credit, like, as soon as the scientists said, hey, look at this result here, they believed it. And they were just kind of like, okay, well, we're just going to go with that. So they were very level-headed about the whole thing. And so I think that was, you know, they just really wanted to solve this. And eventually they did. Like I said, it took a few years, but they really did get to the bottom of it eventually. And like I said, I really do think that if they had not caught him, and they had a lucky break too, which I will also get into. If they had not caught him, he absolutely would have kept going. Because when they caught him, he was only 27, you know? So I kind of feel like he definitely would have kept escalating had they not.
Oh, he was just getting started.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because it's like, yeah, he'd been a sexual predator for a while.
We know these patterns. We fucking cover them
exactly.
Over. If you're a long-time listener to this show, we've gotten so fucking deep into the serial killer patterns. Fucking shit, man. I know how they think. I predicted one of them. Fucking original Night Stalker.
Yeah.
And I said, I fucking profiled him. I said, that dude's ex-military. And police. And sure enough, that's what he was.
He was both.
He was both.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that bitch's name again? Fucking
D'Angelo.
Joseph D'Angelo. I fucking profiled that bitch on this fucking show. 6 months later, they caught him, and
yeah, it might have been longer.
all the people that were listening to the time you called it. Yeah. Because that's just his modus operandi, how he did it. That was a dude who that was a dude who carried a gun for a living. He had commando-like skills.
Yeah.
For that, you know, breaking in people, setting. Yeah. Another show. You go back and look at our original Night Stalker show. You guys will see. That was a long time ago now, huh?
Well, yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, American military said detectives at the time had suspected D'Angelo was law enforcement and military. Yeah, I mean, that was in the profile.
Oh, definitely. Just by how he did his shit.
Yeah.
He was a pro.
They know what they're doing.
Most of these dudes are fucking bitches. Punk ass fucking bitches. D'Angelo, the way he operated he was the best. He was the most macho, most competent. He was, in terms of the most dangerous one. Yeah, that was one that I would be. I'm not scared of any other motherfucker. That was one I would worry about. He was good with a gun, and he was good with fucking foreplanning and setting the stage to create a kill zone and come back later and get you in it. He was good. He had a little dick though, and that was the thing that fucked him up.
I wonder.
That was the motive for why
I wonder how history would have been different if he had just had a regular size.
If he had a regular size dick, none of that shit would have happened.
He would have just been a regular jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, he just would have been a dick.
Who maybe beat up his wife.
Yeah, he'd been something like that. He was overcompensating.
Yeah, instead of being a serial.
Yeah, I'm a man. I'm a real man. I'm dominated over all these other men. Yeah, with a gun.
No shame to people with micro penises because it's like, you know, you're born like that. It's like you can't help it, but it's just like what we're making fun of is
his reaction to it.
That use that.
We're making fun of his reaction to it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is. Fucking fucking, we mentioned it before in the show. Dickology. Fucking, I've done a whole fucking deep dive into dickology with what prostitutes and fucking porn stars and all these fucking professional women say about dick size. They mostly don't give a fuck.
No.
They mostly just care about the dude.
Yeah, it's not super high on the list of priorities, to be honest. Dudes find it way more important than we do.
Yeah, one of the top hottest porn stars fucking that was out there was talking about it. Shit, the dude she hooked up was a little bitty Asian dude, had a little dick. She was totally just fascinated with this dude.
Yeah, like I said, it's not the dick, it's the person.
Didn't have anything to do with
attached.
this. Yeah. You know, don't try to compensate. Just be fucking cool. That's all.
Yeah, and in fact, if you try to overcompensate, then that's going to make you come across even more.
Just don't worry about it. And if you the biggest dick in the motherfucking world, Dread. Everybody knows who Dread is. He's a fucking master porn star. Motherfucker's huge. Big old black dudes, right? Most of those porn stars will tell you that if it wasn't for porn, he wouldn't be getting laid. Because he complains all the time he can't get a girlfriend because his shit's too fucking big. He can't have sex with anybody. And the biggest dude that has fucking... The biggest dude is a dude in England who looks like Bilbo Baggins. And the motherfucker's about... The dimensions we're talking about. He's got the biggest one in the world fucking verified. He's like the size of a thermos. Nobody wants to have sex with him.
I don't blame them.
You pull that out and they just run.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. So dick size, it's in your mind.
Yeah, like I said, dudes worry about it way more than
too much.
Women do.
Yeah.
You know. Life is a Gift says, what do you think about the Zodiac's dick size? Was it big or small? I would assume probably small, on the smaller side, just from the nature of the crimes. But I don't know. It's hard to say.
Some witnesses survived. Did they even... No, he didn't have sex with anybody, did he?
No, he just shot people.
Just shot them. Probably small. Yeah. And,
so he was using that as a surrogate penis,
Yeah.
probably. That's kind of what my thinking was. I'm not a psychologist, obviously.
Too shy. Didn't want to be judged. A lot of these serial killers want to have sex with them after they're dead, so they can't look at him.
So they can't look at him. Yeah.
Can't judge him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That's where the necrophilia thing.
Yeah. It's weird.
That is
so fucking don't worry about dick size. And I'm not a little dick motherfucker. I'm a big dick motherfucker. I got video to prove. All right. I wouldn't worry about it because I've known dudes that had that problem, and their other friends like, yeah, he's had this problem because he's. I was like, no shit, really. And his, you know the dude I'm talking about. Look at Fabio. And his problem was he worried about it too much.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of your problems could be solved by just not all of your problems, obviously, but a good percentage of your problems could be solved about not worrying about little shit like that. You know what I mean? Or not going out of your way to like overcompensate for stuff that you think is a shortcoming.
Yeah.
Because that comes across, like I said, as very desperate, and that's very unappealing to everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to play to your strengths instead of focusing on your weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone.
Yeah.
You just have to like either try to minimize them or just say fuck it, or turn them into strengths. You can do that too.
Yeah.
You know, however you want to go about it. But I just think it's better. Well, like I said, I think that's why a lot of these incel dudes fail, because it's like that's all they do is just constantly focus on how they're not a Chad and how they don't have this and that, they're not 666 and all this other kind of shit, and it's just kind of like that's, you know, you're shooting yourself in the dick is what you're doing.
And some dudes are almost, in case you're new to the show, if you never heard the show, one time me and Jed worked Streamate together as a couple, all right, and some dudes will go cam to cam with us and have these weird fucking dick problems, like dude wanted to be fucking called, like be made fun of for his fucking size, and he was looking at the camera. They're paying us, you know what I mean? So fine. And I'm like, I said, that dude isn't that small.
It was just regular.
That's regular. Yeah, that's like a 5.5, 6 inch dick. That's.
Well, he might have just known he was regular, but he just got off on
the idea of even being smaller.
Being made fun of.
Like, that's just like, after that whole shit was done, I was like, dude, man, everything I said, I'm bullshitting you, man.
Well, don't do that.
And I probably fucked it up. I probably said that all that shit I said, dude. That's you're normal, man. That's no big deal.
Yeah, it was just.
And I think I fucked up his fantasy.
Yeah, it's just normal time.
whatever.
But like I said, some people have that.
Yeah.
They want to be humiliated, and it's like, you know, I don't like that, but some people like it. You know, it's like
I had this weird
not shitting on other people's fetishes.
Fucking thing where he was fixated that he didn't feel like he was enough, so he was like fetishizing the fact that he was being assaulted for not being enough, because maybe he actually believed it.
I feel like if you're coming on a site like that, if you're coming on a site like that and paying, I'll just tell you whatever you want to hear. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but I'm a dude. I'm feeling sorry for him.
Oh, I don't. I'm like, hey, it's your money. I'm gonna give you what you pay for. You want me to make fun of your tiny little dick? I'll make fun of your tiny little dick. I mean, I don't think it's tiny. It wasn't, but it's just kind of.
I was feeling bad. I was feeling bad for him as a dude. You know what I mean?
No,
I was like, dude, you know, that's normal, man.
But like I said, you have to understand, like, some dudes like that just like that, they get off on that. Yeah. And I understand that, so I'm just like, look, they're paying for that experience.
Yeah, I just don't want to send a dude down the road with a fucking...
You want me to make
with a mental process.
I will.
He already paid us anyway, so I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to send the dude down the road.
I mean, you don't want to encourage, like, mental illness
on a dude, yeah.
But still, it's just like, they know what they like, they're willing to pay for it. So I'm not concerned.
We didn't know any of these dudes, or some of them we knew a little bit based on what they just said. But I'm thinking some of these guys are like, man, his only experience with sex could just be porn. Maybe he's
some dudes
maybe his whole view of himself is based upon
porn.
Porn stars. So porn stars are not average guys.
Yeah,
that's how they got that job.
Well, that'd be like a woman comparing herself to like celebrities.
Exactly. So I was like, because I don't know the dude. You know what I mean? Now if I just assumed that maybe this dude might not fucking get laid much, or really, you know anything about the outside world. There's some dudes that just fuck them. I guess there's lots of them, but shit, whatever.
Well, and like I said, if they're paying, then that's what they want. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. American Military said, was Colin Pitchfork a necrophile? I don't think so. However, one documentary that I saw, and I didn't see another one that said this, but it said that the first murder he did, that he might have raped her after she was dead, but I don't know if that's true or not. Like, the second one for sure not. Like, she was still alive. But the first one, I don't know. So I think there might be... So, I don't know. I don't know if he necessarily had... I think he was kind of more like a pedo type dude, or he liked super, super young, like, teenage girls. Because, like I said, when he got caught, he was, like, in his late 20s. Yeah. And his victims were both 15. And he was kind of known for flashing at girls, like, you know, like schoolgirls and shit like that. You know what I mean? So he was, like, kind of a fucking...
Grandpa's asked a good question. Do we keep in contact with any of the friends we made out Streamate? The answer would be, we don't really know.
I have one guy that emails me every now and then. Yeah. Who used to he's a British dude, and he really liked our stuff, and he every now and then he'll email me and be like, "Hey, how you guys doing?
You guys coming back?
You guys coming back? You gonna make any more videos? Should have good holidays or whatever." Right, like, you know what I mean? But that's every couple months. Like, he'll email me and ask what we're up to.
Maybe we do something for him, depending on if the price is right. But here's the thing: we don't know all the time, because some of the people that asked us to do stuff and to make stuff were listeners of the show.
Yeah, and
they were under pseudonyms, so we don't know which one.
So we don't really know who's who.
For all we know, it could have been you, Grampers. For all we know, because we don't really know, because it was.
Which, like I said,
when you're going through the Streamate system, it's through walls of other names. You can't. It's designed so they can't contact you, and you can't contact them.
Yeah, it's like it's designed for the performer's safety.
Yeah, but because during that period we were mentioning it, you could find us. And some of the people from the show did find us there.
Yeah.
And we worked with them.
Yeah.
We just don't know who it was.
Right. It's weird, but I'm not that weirded out.
Even if we saw them, we wouldn't know who it was, because we wouldn't know what their screen name was.
I'm like pretty chill about it now. I guess I would have worried about it more like when I was younger, but like I'm too old to give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, once you get in your 50s, you don't give a shit.
To be honest.
It's all work and it's all fun and games.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so if somebody came on here, like on the live stream, like on a regular show, and said, "Oh, I saw one of your Streamate videos," I'm like, okay.
Yeah, did you get off?
And okay, good.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Send us a video.
I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care. It's like I said, I would have cared when I was younger, but that's the best thing.
It'll ruin your whole life. We don't have a whole life ahead of us. Maybe 20 years.
And honestly,
and we have fun.
Yeah.
We don't give a shit. We made money at the time.
Yeah. It's like, I was in between jobs and we had a good time.
And we were working with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, we weren't doing anything weird or like behind anyone's back.
We weren't doing gangbangs or anything.
Nah.
Putting on show for people.
We were just in here.
Yeah, we in here putting on show for people.
Just doing shit for people on the fucking, you know what I mean? It wasn't that big.
Yeah, making $5.99 a minute.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, you had to wait a long time for somebody to come in, but
yeah.
Grampler says the worst people in history are the overcompensators, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, that causes a lot of problems.
It really does. Like I said, everybody has weaknesses. Everybody.
Yeah.
Like, as perfect as anybody might look, nobody is. Everybody has problems. And like I said, and I'm kind of saying this to myself too, because it took me a long time to realize this also. But once you get to a certain age, you're just kind of like, man, everybody's not going to like me. Okay? Like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I don't look like this. I don't look like that, even, as much as I might want to or something like that. So it's just kind of like, you just got to work with what you got. That's all you can do. That's all anybody can do. Like, yeah, there's shit you can do to improve certain things. And, I'm not saying just go with whatever, but, you still have to, like, work to keep it up. But, you can't be like, shit, when I was younger, it's like I wanted to be a ballet dancer. With this build, yeah, no, that's not happening. Could have been a gymnast, probably. I was like okay at that, like, because I'm a little short, stocky motherfucker. But it's like, I just didn't go far enough with it. I was in gymnastics classes when I was younger, probably 10 or 11, and then my parents were kind of poor. They couldn't really afford the classes anymore, so I kind of didn't do it anymore. But I was good at it, so I probably could have done that. But like I said, I wanted to be all tall and lithe and graceful, and I'm like, yeah, that didn't work out. But it's like, there's nothing I can do about that, obviously. So it's just kind of like, you just have to work with what you got. And it took me a very, very long time to get to that place. Yeah, CB said, I just Googled it. It says one of his victims died while being raped. I think that was maybe, that's why I was like unclear. This one documentary that said that, or at least the coroner that had worked on the case, he said the first victim, seemed like she had died, maybe, like the way he was wording it seemed like she would die before the rape was completed. So I don't mean that necessarily means that he was like a necro. I think it just means that she died in the course of the shit happening, maybe, because he was maybe strangling her at the same time. So yeah, I'm not really sure if he had necrophiliac tendencies. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, but I feel like he was just kind of more like a fucking
who we talking
pervert.
About?
This guy.
Okay, yeah. Okay. We haven't really talked about the first case though yet, have we?
No.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
I'll leave and I come back and all of a sudden we're talking about strangling people.
Well, no, because he was asking me a question.
Okay.
CB said this case changed forensics in the UK after its success. Murder victims are swabbed from head to toe. Even the victim's stomach is checked for the perpetrator's bodily fluid. Yeah, this was, like I said, in true crime history all over the world, this was a very, very significant case, which to me is like shocking why it's not better known in the US at least. Like I said, I'd heard the name, but I didn't really know like a lot of the details. But yeah, this was like a hugely, because shit, man, it's hard to imagine for people that were born later. Now it's like, DNA, but it's like that wasn't a thing in the 80s. That wasn't a thing. You could do blood typing. You could do fingerprinting since about 1900. But that was about it. Like, until they started doing DNA, it was much, much harder, like, to catch some motherfuckers. All right, so...
Yeah, before DNA, you could basically get away with murder.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, fucking the 1900s, the 1800s, 1700s are just filled with it.
Or it's like, I think a lot of people, too, were probably wrongfully convicted because they would just, if you confess to something even falsely...
After torture, yeah.
Or somebody accused you and they were like, yeah, it sounds good to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't really any way you could disprove it. So, I'm sure a lot of people were fucking... So, I think even... I'm suspecting that a lot of murders from, like, the early 20th century, maybe, that were considered solved... I wonder how many of them were actually solved, like they actually got the right person, because I think in a lot of cases probably they didn't.
I don't know. 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 I Well, you've written whole books about it before, Jim.
Yeah, and some of the cases I was just kind of like...
Some of them were unsolvable.
All of the cases that I wrote about were technically unsolved.
Yeah. I mean, they would find a farmhouse in the 1800s out in the middle of nowhere, everybody dead, killed by axes, with the fucking mirrors all covered up. Never a single suspect.
They still haven't solved that.
Still haven't figured out who did
Villisca, that was in Iowa.
Killed the little children in there and everything with an axe.
That's one of the weirdest fucking cases.
Whoever it was stayed in that house for a little while before they moved on.
It's so fucking weird. They still haven't solved it. I mean, I think they have a fairly good idea who it might be, but I don't think they're gonna like fucking prove it at this stage because that happened back in the fucking.
I'm sure nobody's working.
Well, that happened back in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
That was the 20s.
Yeah, I thought it was late 1800s, wasn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure that was.
Yeah, early.
I think it was the 20s, like early 20s.
Yeah.
1924, 1921. I can't remember, like offhand, but it's very famous. You can even go. The house is a museum now. The Villisca Axe Murder House got a sign out front and everything.
It's still standing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, someone bought it and made it into a museum. Yeah, Grumpler says before DNA, it was almost all circumstantial evidence, which is maybe they did it, maybe not. Yeah, and I think also there was entirely too much weight, or there was entirely too much weight given to confessions, which there was in this case too. But happily, like, science was just kind of like, nah, that's not, you know. So I think there was a... But if somebody comes in that kind of seems like maybe they could have done it and they confess to it, they're like, okay, well, case solved. You know what I mean? When people falsely confess to shit all the time, why do they do it? Who knows? Lots of different reasons. But it does happen. You know, I think you need some other... Yeah, it's nice to have somebody confess and like give you details that nobody else knew and shit like that, but it's like I think you need some other evidence to back that up because people can make up fucking stories for whatever reason, which like I said was a factor in this case as well, which we will get to. So this motherfucker here, Colin Pitchfork, he is still alive. He is still in prison. He was actually briefly released on parole in 2021. It will probably shock no one to know that he was out for about 2 months before he got thrown back in again. He didn't do anything too bad, but one of the conditions of his parole was like, you know, you're not allowed to approach, you know, women in the street, like especially like teenage girls or anything like that. And he did that and he got busted. So he got sent back like 2 months later. And he does come up for parole periodically. But as of this recording, as of this live stream, he is still in prison. At this stage, he is 66 years old. And I don't imagine that they're going to let him out at this point. Especially because they let him out for a little bit on parole, and then it was like, yeah, okay, well, he hasn't learned anything, clearly. So just, we're going to chuck him right back in there. So I don't think, like I said, he comes up every couple of years, but I don't think they're going to let him out.
Me.
At this stage. Look at Pookie.
Yeah, she's down there fucking around. I'm going to bring her on a show.
Okay.
Making all that noise. Trying to get all that attention.
Yeah, she's like scratching on the chair and
loves
stuff.
to get attention. I'm putting you on the show. Then you just want to jump down?
She's like, I don't
She's
know.
Well, I want to jump down and I want to get some more attention. I want you to grab me again. Okay, I'm going to let you come down. Go ahead and go.
You going to go? Okay, she's like,
there you go. You're so fat. You need to lose weight. You're the size of a bowling ball.
she can't help it.
You hear her hit the ground, boom. Okay.
She's very solid.
Yeah, she's a very solid kid.
Oh my god. Yeah, Grafter says confessions are easy to get from nervous but innocent people. Yeah, it's like it's easy to say too that it's like if you were wrongfully like hauled into, you know, the police like to question about some murder that you obviously did not commit, but who knows? Like after hours and hours of them like haranguing you and not giving you any water and all this other kind of crap, it's like shit. You might be like, fine, I fucking did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen videos of
it happens.
People who are fucking just timid kids that don't know anything confess to a crime they couldn't have done.
Yeah. Well, because
they
the
know
cops
that
just
they didn't
they
do it,
keep
yeah.
at you. They keep at you.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
Look, we know you did it.
Right.
Like all you have to do
Right.
is just say you can go home, and like they'll just go on like that for hours and hours and hours. And they're just trying to wear them out.
There are very vulnerable, weak-willed people that will just confess to something that they didn't even do.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Just to get out from underneath the immediate pressure.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling to me. Because I'm a resistant motherfucker. I'll fight over it. If I didn't do it, I will fight. But they got people that are just, okay. Yeah,
okay, whatever. I did it. Just leave me alone.
Oh, I did. And then they start making up a whole story.
Yeah.
How they did it. And it doesn't fit the evidence, you know what I mean? And it turned out that's not him, man. The other dude, they caught the other dude later.
Yeah.
But that's just,
like I said,
that's the kind of people you have in the world.
That happens like more.
Pretty obvious. Or not pretty common, I mean. Pretty common.
And it's common too, like, with younger people or people that have like, learning disabilities or things like that. Like I said, if you just keep haranguing them or keep making them think that they can go home, if you just say what you want them to say, here, just sign this right here and like you can leave.
You'll be fine.
It'll all be good.
Yeah, and they'll make up a whole story of how they did it and everything.
Yeah, like it's crazy, but like I said, it's pretty common.
Yeah.
So that's why I think confessions bullshit. You know what I mean?
Unless the confession fucking fits the evidence.
Yeah, unless they know little bitty details. Because I've seen some confessions where they actually caught the killer like through other means, like for other evidence. And then they confessed and they knew all these fucking details. They knew where all the bodies were. It's like, I'll take you to it. Okay, that's different. But it's like
they
if you
mentioned shit that wasn't mentioned in the newspaper.
Exactly. Like I think you need other shit to back that up. You can't just go on somebody's confession because they could just be making it up, or you could have forced them into it, or who knows? There's like a million different reasons. Like I said, there is a little bit of that aspect to this case too, which we'll get in. This is the way this dude got caught. Is I don't know. It's just like really interesting to me. So, good old Colin Pitchfork. Like I said, so he was born in 1960. In Leicestershire, which is a county in England, and as far as I could determine, they said he didn't stand out as a kid. He was pretty normal, Boy Scout type thing, not weird. They said he didn't really do anything that you sometimes see in serial killers, like in their early behavior, like starting fires, like cruelty to animals, shit like that. It's like you didn't really see anything like that. He just seemed like a normal kid that, you know what I mean, that just kind of faded into the background like all the other ones. He was just fucking regular. His parents kind of pretty solidly working to middle class, and like I said, just completely ordinary upbringing as far as anyone could determine. However, after he got caught and people started kind of digging into his past a little bit more, they said they did unearth like a couple of weird little incidents, which, like I said, I think back in the 60s would have been taken a lot less seriously. But things do like peeping Tom type shit, voyeurism, that kind of stuff, exhibitionism, like flashing, that kind of shit. And like I said, I guess back then it wouldn't have been anything that would have raised any red flags. Now it would, absolutely, and probably rightly so. But back then they probably just thought, that's boys doing boy shit. You know what I mean? It was that kind of crap. So I don't think anybody really thought much of it. Now, so when he got a little bit older, he actually left school at 16, which a lot of people did if they weren't going on to university, which he didn't. And he actually apprenticed at a bakery. And he worked at the same bakery until he got caught. Like from when he was 16 until he got caught. So like 11 years, something like that. And he was like really good at it. They said actually one of the things that he did, they said he was really good at like making cakes, like cake decorating, and that he was so good at it that he was gonna he wanted to open his own business, like doing that. Like he was really, really good at it, and he would make people's like birthday cakes and wedding cakes and shit like that, which is fucking crazy when you think about all the fucking shit that he did. He was like making cakes on the fucking side. I don't know. It kind of blows my mind a little bit. In 1981, he got married. His wife was, I believe, a social worker. And they would eventually have 2 children. I think they usually just talk about the one son, but I think they had 2 kids. And they moved in, like I said, in Leicestershire. They're right around this area with this. There's like 3 villages like within pretty close, like essentially like, you know, a few miles from each other. And he kind of moved around those ones, and they finally settled in one of them, which was called Littlethorpe. And nobody thought anything about it, really. He seemed pretty fucking normal. Normal job, normal wife, normal kids, normal house. Just a normal fucking guy. So like I said, he worked in Hampshire's bakery, which was in Leicester. He started there in 1976 and started out as an apprentice and worked there up until he got caught. Now, his co-workers did note that although he was really good at his job and he always showed up on time, he was pretty reliable and everything, but they did note that he was kind of moody, and that he was constantly pestering the female employees, trying to like flirt with them and shit like that, which a lot of the women did not like. They thought he was kind of a little bit of a creep. But, you know, like I said, back in this era, in the 70s, I feel like he would have been given a lot more leeway than he would nowadays. So people complained about it, but everybody's like, nah, that's just the way he is, you know what I mean? It's a fucking creep. So that's what he fucking did. Now, I will note that prior to 1981, when he got married, he had one conviction, and it was for indecent exposure. Because like I said, he was an exhibitionist. He really, really liked to flash teenage girls, like in the street and stuff. And so he got arrested for it and convicted. And he also, he actually was referred to therapy at this stage. Clearly it did not take. I don't know if he went to all the appointments or anything like that. But they did like give him some follow-up. But it didn't work. And he also had another, he wasn't convicted, but he was fined in October of 1977. And he was fined £30, again, for exposing himself to a schoolgirl. He was 17 years old at that point. Now, I don't think they knew about this until later. But he did a rape in 1979, a couple years before he got married. And at this point, he was 18, 19, 20 years old, I believe. And he raped a 16-year-old girl. Like, he pulled her into a field and raped her. But like I said, I don't think they found out about that until later. Like,
what year was this again?
This was 1979. 1979.
Strangely, man, there's some strange shit about, like, the 70s and the 60s is where Western countries really didn't see rape as a big deal in a weird way.
I know, it's horrifying.
It's kind of weird. They're like, oh yeah, that happens.
Do you know that, well, I'm not sure about the UK, but marital rape was not illegal until fairly recently.
Yeah.
Like sometime in the 70s, maybe 80s.
Yeah.
That blows my fucking mind. So it's like, so just this
this
motherfucker marries you and you're just like allowed to fucking...
Yeah, it was against the law. It's just that the penalties weren't that high, and it was just like they didn't really think it was anything kind of like strangely, in a strange way, they didn't think it was like that unusual.
Yeah, like I said, that's really scary.
It was kind of like that in the United States a little bit too. They were like, yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
naughty.
Yeah, it's like, don't do that. You know, but it was just like a weird.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
She was cute and everything.
Yeah.
But you know,
again,
knock it off.
She was wearing a skirt.
Yeah.
You know, fucking it's a weird thinking. You know,
It
a
is
lot
very
of
weird.
a lot of the outside world. I mean, fucking all the shit that comes out of India. Weird shit. They're raping a girl in the back of the bus, and the bus driver says, "Oh, good idea," and then he decides to rape her.
That's nice.
What the fucking kind of shit is this? You know. Somewhere in the south of India, you know, fucking. But
yeah, let's all get in on that.
Yeah, like, hey, you know, we're all raping. Let's go ahead, step aside, get in line.
Join the rape.
And
party.
that was like a famous case. They raped those 2 little girls and killed one of them.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was just like that would never happen in the West now. And I don't think that ever happened in the West in the 70s.
It just
that would have
wasn't.
never happened.
It was still illegal. It just wasn't really considered that serious.
I didn't really think it was that serious, but it wouldn't be like in the 1800s where some dudes are raping some chick in the back of the stagecoach, and then the driver says, "Well, I'm gonna get some of that too." You know what I mean? And then the Indians pull up and they go, "Yeah, let us in on this." You know, it was, but that was.
Meanwhile, the chick's like, "Is anyone gonna ask me my opinion about this?"
It has something to do with, in that particular case, it had something to do with the religious background of Hinduism or something, or just attitudes toward women, or the caste system of who is higher and lower than who.
I think attitude. Attitudes about women. That's like the main thing, because it's like if you inherently believe that women are lesser than you,
then you can do what you want.
Then you can do what you want to them.
Especially if you haven't been laid, you're a man. You have needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking, it's that kind of thinking.
Yeah, that kind of thinking. Which, like I said, some people have that here too.
And then they're like, oh well, that dude got it, and she didn't commit suicide, so therefore she's dishonorable. So I can do it.
Right. Some
shit like that, I would never let that happen to me. You know what I mean? I'm a man of standing, so therefore she's bad.
Yeah.
That's some fucking
That's
weird
all the way to justify
the
shit that they do.
Yeah, I'm gonna justify, so step aside. Let me get some of that.
Yeah.
Fucking wild shit.
Like I said, if you inherently think that women are lesser than you are, then that justifies whatever you want to do to them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the danger of that. And honestly, like, I think this dude kind of had a little bit of that mindset, because he was just kind of like, well, I wanted it and she was there at the time, so oh well.
Luckily in England, in the West, those attitudes are not common enough to where the passerby goes, oh, you're raping? Well, shit, let me get some of that. These are outsiders. This is an outside extreme attitude towards women. They're all assholes.
Because here you're gonna get your fucking
you're
dick
gonna have
shot
to be
off.
an asshole, yeah. Yeah.
And rightfully so. I hope someone does shoot your dick off if you do that kind of crap. But yeah, so like I said, he was big on exposing himself, right? And he had done a rape in 1979. And then in 1980, when he was about 20 years old, he did another, like, he exposed himself again to 2 teenagers. And he just got a year's probation. So like I said, it wasn't really a big deal, because it's just like, oh, he's walking the street, he's like, hey, surprise penis, you know what I mean? And I don't think they thought it was that big a deal. But like I said, this is what happens when you think shit like that's not a big deal. It always like leads to something fucking worse, right? And as we see, a few years later, it absolutely did lead to something worse. So what I'm saying here is that he had been caught for shit like this, exposing himself. He had done a rape in 1979, but I don't think, as far as I could determine from all the shit that I read and saw, I don't think that they knew about that until later, because like after he got caught for the murders that he did, he confessed to like some other sexual assaults that either had not been reported or like were unsolved at the time. So I think that even though the rape happened in 1979, they didn't link him to it. He didn't get caught for it. He did get caught for exposing himself a couple of times, and was sent to therapy or fined or whatever. But he didn't really get any big, punishment or any kind of consequences for doing that, because like I said, they probably just thought it wasn't that big a deal. However, in 1983, late 1983, something happened that very much was a big deal. I mean, the shit before was a big deal too, but like this was a much bigger deal, clearly. So November 21st, 1983, there's a 15-year-old girl named Lynda Mann, and she had been babysitting. And she was supposed to come home, that night, like after she was done babysitting. She was just going to walk. It wasn't that far. And she ended up taking this, like kind of a footpath through there's, on the documentaries they show you, but it's just like a regular, like English footpath. You know what I mean? I walked on them many times when I was over there. The locals called it the Black Pad. And, people walked on it all the time. Walked their dogs or whatever. But because it was at night, there wasn't really a lot of other people around. So she was walking home because it was a shortcut, and she was walking home along this path on her own. Now, her parents obviously freaked out when she did not come home at the time she was supposed to, because she was very conscientious and would always come home when she was supposed to. And so they flipped out and called the police and everything like that. And the neighbors were all looking for her and stuff. The next morning, sadly, she was found raped and strangled off a little way off of the path. She was found with all of her, the bottom half of her clothing had been taken off. So she was nude from the waist down. She had clearly been raped. She had clearly been strangled. She didn't have too many other injuries, so I didn't think she was beat up. She was actually strangled with her own scarf. The scarf was still around her neck. So they took a semen sample from the body. Now, obviously, this is 1983, and they couldn't do DNA on it, but they could do blood typing. And they discovered that the perpetrator had type A blood, and the enzyme profile that he had matched about 10% of the males in Britain, which is not a lot, but still a lot, because a lot of people live there, you know what I mean? So it narrowed it down, but not all that much. Now, interestingly, so obviously the cops do what cops would do in this case. They're trying to determine, did she know anybody that would do this? And they're going house to house, on a house-to-house canvas. And what they did was they were able to at least narrow down the number of people they questioned, by the blood typing, because they knew it was type A. And so they were kind of going around asking people, if they knew anything, if they'd seen anything. I will note that Colin Pitchfork was initially questioned, among many, many others, during the house-to-house canvas. And this was mainly because I believe they knew that he had type A blood, I think. But I think the main reason that they questioned him, why he was high up on their list, was because he had prior convictions for flashing, for a sex offense. So they were working their way down the list, and they said, we started with real bad sex offenders, and then we were getting down to the flashers and whatnot, which is what he was. So they did actually go to his house and question him after this murder. Now, he didn't really seem to ping anyone's radar at the time. The cops did note that, his wife answered the door, and she said, he's upstairs, I'll go get him. And they said it kind of took an unusually long time for him to come downstairs, which they thought was a little weird, but nothing. And because when he came down, they said he acted totally normal. They said, I was just upstairs, we're replacing some floorboards and some shit like that. Sorry it took me so long, blah, blah. So they asked him, so where were you on the night of November 21st when Lynda Mann was killed? And he said, I was here. I took my wife to her dance class, and then I was here watching the baby, because they had a kid that was only, that was still baby, was still an infant. And she backed him up. She was like, yeah, he was here all night watching the baby because I was at my dance class. And so the cops were like, okay, well, thank you very much. You don't seem like the killer at all. And like I said, they didn't know because he seemed normal. What they found out later, spoiler alert, that Colin Pitchfork had indeed been watching his baby that night. However, he took the fucking baby with him in the car. He put the baby in the car seat, drives to the path, and leaves the baby in the car while he goes and rapes and murders a girl. The baby's in the fucking car.
Yeah.
That, I can't believe that he fucking did that. They didn't find that out until later on.
He's practical.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I can't leave an infant in the house, but, God forbid.
So I got to take the baby with me.
So I got to take the baby with
cries,
me.
It's okay. It's
on my rape and murder.
It's just a crying baby. It's not going to starve during the time I will rape this chick. It's less than an hour.
Yeah, it won't take long.
Yeah.
I'll just be a minute.
Yeah. You chill, kid. I'll be back in a minute. I got to rape this
Daddy's
bitch.
got some stuff to do.
Yeah, Dad got to rape this bitch. I'll be back in a second.
Can you imagine? Oh my god.
Evil motherfucker.
I think that detail, like, out of all those, like, holy, how fucking cold-blooded do you have to be to leave your fucking baby in the car?
Now, a horror wrestling fan from UK is talking about statute limitation laws.
I gotta pee.
The UK doesn't have them. See, what they were doing in the United States with the statute limitation laws is they didn't want a situation where some woman shows up many years, 10 years after the supposed things happens, and is fucking accusing some guy, and it's been so long there's no evidence. So you just ends up with he said, she said. And it could have been a situation where she might have been extorting him, and there's no way he can prove his innocence. Which I can understand why they had statute of limitation laws like that. But this was all done before. Those laws were done before the advent of DNA testing and before widespread fucking VHS video technology and fucking cell phones. That kind of changes the game. Because that goes back to this fucking Epstein Island case. Alright? There's evidently a bunch of videotape evidence of fucking dudes fucking these chicks who were underage. The problem is it's beyond statute of limitations. But here's the thing. There should be some kind of a fucking alteration of that law, and it may exist, but I've heard that it doesn't. You would think if you had video evidence of any kind of crime that occurred in the past, that should negate statutes of limitations. That's what I would think. Now, I don't know if there is if there is a way to allow video evidence to be submitted in a case that happened along. For murder, there's no statute of limitations. If you had a videotape of somebody who's alive today murdering somebody else, and you presented that as evidence, just look, man, fucking 35 years ago, this dude killed this chick right here. We got it on videotape. There it is. And you can authenticate that videotape. They'll charge him murder, and they'll use that as evidence. Why couldn't they do that with well, they're not going to, okay, in the Epstein Island case in particular, they're not going to call it rape. They're going to call it like an underage solicitation or prostitution type deal. Because evidently those girls were paid. They're underage, but they're not necessarily children. They were above the age of consent. Because each state has a different law. But it's usually like 16, 15, 14. A woman can consent to having sex. Now there's some statute laws about, well, if you're 5 years older than her, though, that's a different thing. And then but that's there. I don't know. There should be a way to where if you have videotape evidence of it happening, even though it was a long time ago, that should be admissible in court.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter how long ago it was.
With murder, with murder, there is no statute.
Yeah.
But with evidently...
I kind of feel like sexual assault should be... I mean, that's just like a rundown.
In the Epstein case itself, they're not going to say it was sexual assault. They're going to say it's more like...
though.
But they're going to call it underage prostitution.
I know they are, but that's some bullshit.
They're going to say it wasn't an attack, she was willing, even though she was underage. That's what they would say. And evidently it's beyond statute of limitations.
Yeah, that's some bullshit right there.
Yeah, you would think that there'd be a way around that if you have videotape evidence.
Yeah,
but they're not going to do that because here's the reason why. The dudes that were involved in that were rich. They own the system.
They can get away with everything.
They're connected with Israel. It's not going to happen. These were white trash girls from trailer parks in Florida. They're not worth what these rich Jewish guys are worth. I'm sorry. That's that's the way they're going to say it.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's just pussy. That's what they're going to say.
They're horrible.
She's 16. It's pussy.
They're horrible people.
Yeah. Okay, there it is.
But that's how they're going to say it.
That's how I'm going to put it.
Because that's how they justify it to themselves for being horrible people.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, you're poor.
I still think they're
rich and you're poor.
Well,
That should be enough, right?
I'll take hanging out with a trailer trash girl over one of those motherfuckers any day of the fucking week.
They're rich, you're poor.
I don't care how rich you are.
It's just
you're
pussy.
Still fucking trash.
And you were in the fucking trailer park, and you agreed to go there. So there it is.
Yeah, people are the worst. Humans were a mistake, as I like to say.
People are bad.
So they're not all bad. Actually, most people are fine.
They're normal. Most people are normal.
Most people are normal. But you know, there's a vocal minority that make things shitty for the rest of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this motherfucker, for some reason, like I said, that fucking detail that he took his fucking baby.
Yeah.
On his rape and murder sojourn, and this was evidently his first. It wasn't his first rape, but this was his first murder, as far as anyone knows. And the fact that he took his baby along, just I can't imagine how you could do something like that. It just goes to show how little they care. You know what I mean? Like that they don't really think what they're doing is that bad, or I don't know what it is. Like I said, I'm not a psychopath, so I don't know. So the cops, like I said, did question him at the time, but because he seemed to have an alibi and he seemed pretty normal and everything like that, you know, they were questioning a lot of other people too. They didn't really know who it was, so they were just kind of like, okay, fair enough. Now, I will note that a couple years went by, almost 2 years, and then he did another sexual assault. This girl was 16. I don't know what her name is. They've kept her name because, I mean, I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but the notes I read didn't say it. And you know, he pulled a knife on her, screwdriver, and he raped her, and she lived. But as far as I know, at the time, she did not report it, and they didn't know about it until he confessed to it later, after they caught him. So he was doing this shit the whole time. But like I said. And then in June 1986, and this woman, I actually did see, she talked about this. And she said she didn't report it at the time either. Like I said, a lot of women still don't. And especially more back then. You don't report it because you don't think fuck all is going to be done about it. Which they're probably right about that. So she didn't report it, she said, because she's like, well, I thought I did a dumb thing and shit like that. But really, thankfully, she got away with, you know, not getting hurt too bad. Her name was Liz Knight. And she was walking along a path back home, and he came by in his car. So I'm guessing this motherfucker, he must have been cruising these paths, because the fact that he came across Lynda Mann, who was his first murder victim, on the black pad. So he must have been cruising up and down just looking for whoever was walking around at night by themselves, you know, because it couldn't have just been, oh, I happened to go out this one night and she happened to be walking.
No.
He was probably doing it all the time. So he sees this woman and she's walking home, and he stops to give her a lift, and she said in the interview, she said, you know, we all knew about the Lynda Mann case. I mean, at this point, it's been, you know, almost 3 years since that happened, but it's still not solved. And she said, I'm pretty sure that, when I got in the car, I asked him, hey, are you a rapist? Ha, ha, ha. And she's like, I don't even remember what he said. So he's like, yes, I am. As a matter of fact, thank you for asking. But, you know what I mean? So she thought he was okay. He seemed all right. And so she got in the car, and she's like, hey, I just live up here or whatever. And then she said that they were driving, and he passed the turn to her house, obviously. So, of course, she started to fucking flip out. And thinking very quickly, but it's probably saved her life, she grabbed the fucking wheel and, was and, you know, steered it off the road. And he got, fucking a little upset about it. And she said that he put his hand on her leg and said, I haven't hurt you yet. But then he took her home. And then he has the fucking audacity to ask, he actually does drop her off at her house. He says, hey, how about a goodnight kiss? And she was basically like, why don't you go fuck yourself all the way off? You know what I mean? But she was like, yeah, no. And then he just said to her, I bet you won't get a lift from a stranger again.
How old was she?
I don't know how old she was. Well, she was a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing her on this documentary that I saw, and she's like, I didn't report it at the time because, one, I didn't get hurt, thankfully. Like, it could have gone really, really badly. Had she not, like, grabbed the wheel and steered the car off the road, like, into the bushes, probably it would have ended very badly. But she did, and so I guess he didn't want to fuck with her. But she said, I didn't report it because she's like, I felt stupid. Like, I felt stupid for getting into his car, and I thought they would say it was my fault. And so I just never did. But she can't, after he got caught, like, she came out and said, and he actually said that he had done it too. So he was doing this shit pretty regularly. And the way that, because there's kind of like large gaps in between some of the rapes and, I mean, the murders, there was almost 3 years in between. Or like 2 years. So I kind of feel like he was probably doing other shit in between there that either didn't get reported or he didn't get caught for, I'm suspecting. I don't know if there was any other murders. I don't think so, but for sure there was other sexual assaults, that probably did get reported. Either because the girl didn't want to report it or because it wasn't deemed, like maybe she didn't think it was a big enough deal.
That's the weirdest thing, that these women get assaulted sometimes very badly, and then they don't report it, and it just feeds into this.
It's not weird to me because
they don't want to re-victimize themselves.
They don't want to re-victimize themselves. They're just like, I'm done. And honestly, like,
but they're not saving the next chick.
I know, like that's how I would think of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I don't blame them for not, because it's better now than it used to be, and especially back in this era. But I kind of feel like you would always get blamed. I mean, you still kind of get blamed. But back then, you absolutely would. And especially if you had done something like this Liz girl did. Like, she actually did willingly get in his car. He said he'd give her a lift, and she said he looked okay. He looked harmless. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, don't they all? But, assume none of them are harmless. That's probably the safest course of action. But so she just thought she was dumb, and she's like, man, dodged a bullet. And she just didn't worry about it anymore. But the thing about it is that depending on what the circumstances of the attack are, sadly, women being sexually assaulted, sexually harassed is so common that most women are just kind of, I don't want to say inured to it, but it just happens so much that like some of it just becomes like background noise. Where it's like, if you think about it later, you're like, oh, I should have said something about that. Like, that was a big deal. But, like, at the time, you're just like, phew, well, glad to get out of that situation. But shit like that happens all the time. All the time. So it's just kind of, I mean, every woman I know, including me, has been at least sexually harassed. At least. If not worse. And I know many, many women who have had worse happen to them. Thankfully, I have not. But... bad shit happens a lot. It's very common. And like I said, it's so common that I think some women are just kind of like, oh, well, I shouldn't have been at that party, or I shouldn't have drunk so much, or I'm going to get in trouble, or people are going to blame me, or, it was my own fault, or whatever. And it's just, so a lot of them don't report it. And like I said, they think if they do report it, then all of it's going to come out. It's like they're going to make you, what were you wearing? And you look like a slut, and blah, blah, blah. So it's just kind of like, so a lot of them are like, fuck that noise. And I understand why a lot of them don't bother. Especially, like, considering what the circumstances were. And like I was saying while you were in the bathroom, I said women being sexually harassed and sexually assaulted is so common that, like, a lot of women are just like, unless it's super egregious, they just kind of not blow it off, but they're just kind of like, well, that wasn't a big enough deal. Because it just happens so much.
Yeah, no, I was talking about a woman who she's actually got raped.
Yeah.
They got ones that won't report that. I said, no, you have to, even though you have to.
I mean,
you gotta be the hero and fucking save the next chick.
Yeah, in my mind, I kind of feel like I would feel like I had a responsibility.
Yeah, you gotta fight through that, just for your sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I understand why some women don't, like, considering whatever their circumstances were.
You gotta go to court.
But yeah, I would feel obligated.
Yeah.
To at least, even if they didn't believe me or whatever, but I just kind of feel like I would feel obligated just to try to keep it from happening to somebody
nothing
else.
to have, at least get your name recorded, so if he comes up again, they can come
then
back.
They can come back and
you'll be a supporting witness to
and you'll be like, hey, that motherfucker did the same thing to me. It's like, at least get it on paper.
Right, get it on paper so they can call you.
I know
later
it's a pain, but like you got to. Like they're not gonna fucking do anything to these dudes otherwise, and they'll just keep fucking doing it because they keep getting.
I hate rapists. I fucking hate them. Because
mean,
all I can think of is I can think of all my girlfriends and my fucking one ex-wife and one wife.
Are you gonna tell me something?
I think of my 2 wives, and if that shit happened to them, I'd fucking lose my fucking mind.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, fucking nah. I fucking hate rapists. They're the worst. Lowest of the low. Yeah.
So it's just. And like I said, I mean, we have friends that like horrible shit has happened to. Yeah. Like I said, as far as I remember, like unless I was really drunk or something, I don't remember anything. I've been drugged a few times, but thankfully,
people protected you.
But people protected me, so it's like that might have gone very badly.
Yeah.
I did get.
I got drugged.
I got stupidly drunk at a party one time, which probably wasn't the smartest thing, but thankfully, like somebody was there that locked me in a room. You know what I mean? So it's like so nobody could do anything because I didn't really know anybody there. I was like, that was dumb. Yeah. I was mixing my own drinks and I wasn't really looking.
I got drugged too. I got drugged to make me look like a fool because the dude was after her.
Yeah. So so it absolutely happens.
Yeah.
But sexual harassment, like you just like walking around, people like trying to grab you and put you in their cars and shit like that. Yeah, I've had that happen. And like I said, every woman I know has had something like that happen. It's very super, super common.
Yeah.
So
I've been through rough shit too, man. Fucking bad shit. And if fucking I can go through it and you girls can go through it too, just to fucking save your sisters. Because when I was in the army, did shit to save shit my brothers. And fucking other shit that I can't talk about on the show to save other people. Who are like you, and fucking if anything like that happens to you, you gotta at least get your name on paper.
Yeah, like I said, I know.
Get yourself associated with that dude.
Yeah, I would be.
So when later on, when a bigger investigation happens, you can be there as a support witness to put that bitch down.
Yeah, you fucking got to.
Because you got sometimes you can only get an enemy in a group as a team. To get up on that.
Yeah, because sadly, it
sometimes
takes,
one person.
It takes like 20-ass women to come forward before anybody's like, oh, maybe this is a bad guy.
Maybe there's something to this, right? Yeah.
No one will believe one woman. There has to be a whole phalanx of them.
Well, it depends on how powerful his lawyers are and how much money he has.
You know, you always have to have like a whole bunch of them come forward before they believe.
Usually, it's a rich, powerful dude who's the problem. Poor dude, he'll go down with just he's too. Doesn't have any money and he can't control the fucking evidence, and he's easy to take down, but what if he's the fucking rich powerful dude who's doing this? That's the main problem.
Well, yeah, because they've been used to getting away with everything their whole lives because they can just pay somebody off and, so so like I said, this woman did not report at the time. Like I said, she was not raped. She actually did get out of the car like without anything that bad happening to her, but of course other than fucking being scared to death, but but he did do a rape that I think they didn't find out about until later. So July 31st, 1986. Now this was a little less than 3 years after the murder of Lynda Mann, which was his first murder. So it was another girl named Dawn Ashworth, and she was also 15 years old, and she was going to walk to her friend's house, which wasn't that far away. Now, she was supposed to be back home at 9:30 at night, and she did not come home. So, again, she was very responsible, and her parents were immediately concerned when she did not come home when she was supposed to, so they reported her missing. Now, in this case, her body was not found for a couple of days because it seems that he had made more of an effort to hide her body a little bit. In the first case, Lynda Mann, he basically just left her kind of laying in a field, like not too far off the path. So she was spotted like only a couple hours after she was murdered. Whereas Dawn, he actually kind of put her a little bit under some bushes. So it took like a couple days for somebody to see her. Now, just as in the first case, she was found pretty much exactly the same, like naked from the waist down. She had also been strangled. I believe she was also strangled with her own scarf. She looked like she had a lot more other injuries than Lynda had, meaning that she probably either fought more or he didn't kill her as quickly or something like that. Like she looked like he had beat her up. And the rape was a lot more violent, like a lot more savage, like because of the injuries. Now, this was, again, on a footpath where she had been walking at night alone. This footpath was called 10 Pound Lane. And because this murder was pretty much a carbon copy, and, like, let's be fair, it was almost 3 years later, but murders, like, don't happen, like, in this area. So the cops are immediately like, this is the same guy. Like, clearly, even though it's been a while. Like, it's exactly the same. So they pretty much were operating under the assumption that this was the same perpetrator.
They knew the statistics of the area.
Yeah.
If this shit's all coming out of nowhere. Fucking, it's the same dude.
Yeah, like I said, these are very small. It's only a few thousand people, like in 3 little villages. They're very pretty, like, you know what I mean? They're really pretty little villages.
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances of there being more than one? Very low.
Doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, she was found exactly the same, like naked from the waist down and strangled with the scarf and all of that other stuff.
Yeah, same dude.
So it's the same guy.
How old was she?
15. Oh, she was also 15.
Yeah.
The first victim was also 15.
Yeah. She likes young teenagers.
Yeah. And that's who he was exposing himself to all the time also. Like he would, like schoolgirls would be walking home from school or whatever and he'd be like, hey, like I said, surprise penis. I'd be like, oh, well, it kind of looks like a penis, but way smaller. You know what I mean? So yeah. Now, the 2 girls had gone to the same school. They were actually lived in different villages, but the villages were only like a mile apart or something like that. So they both actually went to the same school. And so they again took a semen sample and found that it was the same blood type A, which confirmed what they already knew. They're like, likely this is the same guy. Now, their initial suspect, and I can't blame them for thinking this. Their initial suspect was a 17-year-old kid who was a local. They also knew from the jump that the dude lived around there. Just from where the bodies were left, the familiarity with the area, they're like, this is a dude from here. He's not a stranger. So they found this 17-year-old kid named Richard Buckland. And he was, he had some learning difficulties. You know what I mean? He had a pretty low mental age. And he worked in the kitchen at the psychiatric hospital, which was near both of the murder sites. Now, initially, after the first murder had happened, they thought, oh, maybe the murderer was like, someone had escaped from the psychiatric hospital. But they found out that that wasn't the case. But this kid did work there, like he was a kitchen porter. And he had been seen, they said he was like hanging around the murder site, like on this red motorbike that he had. And some other witnesses said that they had seen this kid on the motorbike, like kind of in the area, like prior, like on the afternoon, like prior to Dawn Ashworth being killed. And they thought it was weird that he was like hanging around, you know? And he was kind of also known around town as being kind of a little bit of a creep. Like he would, not as overtly creepy, like I don't think he was flashing anybody or anything, but he would like leer at girls and, you know, he wasn't, real bright. Let's put it that way. And a lot of the girls in town just thought he was kind of weird. Like he was kind of creepy. You know what I mean? He was 17. Now, when they brought him into custody, because a lot of people had seen him around and they thought it was strange that he seemed interested in the murder. And one of the documentaries that I saw, I don't know how accurate this recreation is, but they actually had him kind of riding up to the police tape, like on his motorbike and like looking like, hey, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Which that's always a red flag. Like when dudes do that, if they're like too fucking interested. So the cops start looking into it, and they're just like, yeah, well, we need to bring this dude in because he's acting like super sus. So when they brought him in, he kind of knew some shit about where the body was or how the body was positioned or something that hadn't been released in the media. He seemed super, super interested in the case. And as time went on, he ultimately admitted to killing her. Like I said, I don't know how long. I don't think this was a case of, because there have absolutely been some cases both in the UK and in the US where police have essentially like harangued someone into confessing or kind of tricking them into confessing. I don't think this was the case here. I think the kid, what they thought was that maybe, like I said, he wasn't the brightest bulb, and they thought that maybe he was interested in the case because, ooh, it's exciting, it's a murder, and maybe he saw something happen and like got confused or something. Or he was just so interested in the case that he was trying to insert himself somehow, like, you know, some people do that. But he pretty readily confessed to it. Now, because the cops knew, they're like, we're 99% sure that both of these murders were committed by the same person. So they said, okay, so you did that one. Now, but what about the Lynda Mann murder from 1983? But this kid swore up and down, no, I don't know anything about that. I didn't do that one. Like, he didn't do that one. I will note that had he done that one, which he didn't, spoiler alert, he would have only been 14 when that happened. Not impossible. I mean, the victim was only 15. But he would have been, you know, like a much younger kid. But he, like I said, readily confessed to Dawn Ashworth, but he would not. He was like, no, I didn't do that other one. I didn't. And the cops were like, kind of like, huh, well, okay. It's like, well, we think he did this one, but and we know the same dude did both of them. So if he's saying that he didn't do this one, then where does that leave us? You know what I mean? So they decide, okay, so they had read about this dude, this scientist, Dr. Alec Jeffreys. And coincidentally, perhaps, him and his team had been working at Leicester University, which was only like a couple miles away from where the murders took place, on genetic fingerprinting. And this was like a big breakthrough at the time. Now, I will note that at the time that this was used, this had never been used in a murder case or a criminal case before. He said we used it in like an immigration dispute prior, and we used it in like a paternity case, but we'd never used it in this application before.
You're actually pretty good in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I refilled it like not too long ago.
Okay, I'll do it.
So it was in all the papers, like this. It was this big breakthrough. Like I said, they were calling it, you know, genetic fingerprinting at the time because they were trying to, you know, everybody knows what fingerprinting is. Like nobody knew what DNA, all that other kind of. I mean, people know what DNA is, you know what I mean? But like, it's not like, you know, it was not as ubiquitous as it is now. So they were calling it genetic fingerprinting, and he was kind of pioneering it. And so it was in the papers, and the cops saw it in the papers and were like, well, maybe we can, they're like, you say you can identify an individual, like not just a blood type, which is like 10% of dudes, which is like thousands of dudes. You know what I mean? You can narrow it down to like a single individual. And so they said, maybe he can help us. So they contact him. And he basically says, you know, look, you know, I'm 99% sure. He's like, I'm not sure we can do that. It's never been used in a criminal case before, but it's like, in theory, yes, this should be able to identify an individual from a blood sample or a semen sample or what have you. So he's like, so send me the samples and I'll see what I can do. He's like, I can't promise anything, but this is uncharted territory. And like I said, to their credit, the cops were just willing to like, hey, he's a scientist. He knows what he's doing. We're going to give you the semen samples from both murders. And initially when they gave him the semen samples, they were trying to essentially prove that Richard Buckland had killed both girls because they strongly suspected that he had killed Dawn Ashworth, but he would not confess to killing Lynda Mann. And they're like, we know it's the same dude, though. We want to prove that it was him so we can convict him for both murders. So that's initially why they did it. So they basically gave the scientists the semen sample from the Lynda Mann case, the semen sample from the Dawn Ashworth case, which was a lot fainter, but it still produced a result. And they gave him Richard Buckland's DNA and was just like, we just want to see if it's a match. We want to prove that this dude was the same guy and he did both of these murders. Now, interestingly, as you know, as most of you know, if you're watching this, especially if you're in the UK and you know about this case, the scientists broke it down. And actually in the documentary, they show you the actual, the little x-ray thing they did with the little DNA bands and stuff on it. And he shows, like, the matches and the non-matches. So the cops come in and he's like, okay. He's like, so the 2 semen samples you gave me from the murder victims, he's like, you can see it's very clearly the same dude. Like the Lynda Mann one was much stronger. Like you could see the bands like really, really thick. But like the other one was fainter, but you could still see very obviously it was the same DNA profile. He's like, so this is very clearly the same guy committed both of these just as you suspected. He's like, however, I hate to tell you this, but he's like, here is Richard Buckland's DNA sample, and it is absolutely nothing like the sample that you got from the 2 victims. So he's like, yes, the same man committed both crimes. That man is not the man that you have in custody. He didn't do either one of them. So you have to let him go. So they were just kind of like, well, fuck me running. Like, now what do we do? Like, now we're back to fucking square one, right? So at this stage, Richard Buckland had been in custody for, I believe, about 4 months. He's a 17-year-old kid. And they came in and said, well, son, you're free to go. You obviously didn't do the shit. So go home. I don't know what happened to him afterward.
He went right. He straightened up.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean...
4 months in prison was enough for him to go, fuck this shit.
Yeah, that's what I get for confessing to shit I didn't do.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't know how... Because most of the shit that I read about him said that he was, kind of... I don't know if I'd go so far as to say disabled. But he had kind of learning disorders. So I don't know how...
Yeah, anybody can say anything.
But like I said, so I don't know what the
that might be
severity of
that
it was.
That might be a code word for he was dumb.
Yeah, so, like that's what I'm saying. I don't know what the severity of it was.
Right.
I don't know how easily influenced he was or manipulated he was. Like I said, this doesn't seem to be a case where the cops like forced him into confessing. He seemed like he pretty freely confessed to it. But I think it was maybe because he either didn't understand the ramifications or he got confused and maybe thought he really did it, or I'm not really sure. No one's entirely sure, like, why he confessed to it. But he did, but obviously he didn't do it, because DNA don't lie. You know what I mean? So at this stage, they're like, okay, so now we're back to square one. It's like, so we know 2 things. We know that the same guy committed both of these murders, and we're 99% sure that he's a local. So, like, here's what we're going to do. And this had also never been done before. They're like, we're going to basically do... We're going to say... They didn't make them. It was voluntary. But they said every male between about 16... I've heard as young as 13, but I don't know if that's the case. Between about 16 and about 34 or 35, voluntarily give blood samples for a DNA test. So they were going, like... Because it was 3 villages, which was about, I think it was 5,000 or 6,000 dudes. They're like, we just want you to come in to eliminate yourself from the inquiry. Like, if you're not the murderer, you shouldn't really have a problem. Like, just come in here, give some blood. We'll eliminate you from the investigation, and then we need to narrow down, like, who this is, because we know it's a motherfucker that lives around here, So that's what they did. I mean, which was an amazing undertaking. It's funny because I was watching this one documentary that had like a lot of reenactments and stuff, and the one dude who was playing Detective Baker, who was one of the main guys on the case, and he was just like, man, we have to test everybody, like all the males, and like you could see like one of the cops in the background go, fuck me. That's gonna take forever. It did take a really long time. But they did as big an undertaking as that is, they actually did a really good. They were very organized. You know what I mean? So they basically sent out letters to every male between the ages in the age range, and we're like, we would like you to voluntarily like come in and give a blood sample to eliminate yourself from the investigation because we're trying to solve this murder. And amazingly, pretty much everybody cooperated. They said there was like less than 1% that didn't cooperate, because they said the thing about it was that if you didn't cooperate, then they're going to put your name on a list of like sus. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, because why would you not want to do that? So they're going to look at you even more closely. Now, so the testing goes on for months and months, because I will note that they also had to take into consideration that this is 1986-87. The first murder of Lynda Mann had taken place in 1983. And they're like, some dudes that had lived in that area in 1983 had moved away. So it's like, so we have to track them down, wherever the fuck they moved to, and see if we can get them to come back and give a blood sample too. So it was a big undertaking. So they had to do that too. But like I said, they seemed very organized. They got their shit together. They got thousands and thousands of men to come in and give their blood and get tested. And it went on for months and months, and they didn't get any matches. And then they expanded the age range, like to a little bit younger and a little bit older, because they're like, he's got to be here somewhere. Like, we just have to fucking read him out, right? Now, it so happened that in about the late summer of 1987, Colin Pitchfork, who was still working at the bakery, if you'll remember, he got a letter through his little letter slot in the door that said, hey, time for you to come down and do your blood test about, that murder. And for obvious reasons, he did not want to do it. So he goes to a colleague at the bakery, like a coworker, who was 23 years old at the time. His name was Ian Kelly. And over a little while, he actually kind of nagged Ian into doing the blood test for him. And what he did was he basically, like, I think, like, in the reenactment that I saw, like, he just kept fucking pestering him about it. The story that he gave was that, hey, man, like, you got to help me out because I got called for that blood test. Now, I think that Ian, the guy that he asked, I think he lived outside of the area, like out of the area, so he didn't get the letter. So he wouldn't have been tested otherwise, because he lived farther away. So he's like, you got to help me out. He's like, one, I have prior, convictions for like flashing and shit. And he's like, the police are going to stitch me up, meaning they're going to railroad me. You know what I mean? He did it, you know what I mean? But he's like, yeah, they're going to frame me for this, and I didn't do it. And he's like, and also, I have this friend, you don't know, it's not me, you don't know him, but who got into a lot of trouble for, like, flashing and stuff. And I'm just like, bitch, that's you. And he's like, and I did the blood test for him. So I've already done it, see? And I'll get in trouble if I go do the blood test now and then they find out that I did it twice, because I already did it for this other dude who I didn't want to get in trouble because he was a friend of mine. That was the story that he gave. And Ian at first was just like, nah, bro, I'm not doing that. But like I said, over time, he just kept like pestering him. And I think he asked a couple other coworkers too, but they were like, fuck off, Colin. You know what I mean? Whatever. But eventually he talked Ian into it. Now, what they were doing when you went to do the blood test, you obviously had to show identification, and what you would have to show was your passport. So on the day when Colin had to go get his blood taken, he takes Ian, who had the flu that day, by the way. Like, he goes around to Ian's house. It's like, hey, we got to go do the thing. And Ian's like, man, fuck off. It's like, I feel like death. I don't really want to do it. Piss off. And he's like, no. You said you were going to do it. And I think he even paid him. I think he paid him like 200 pounds. So he's like, no, you said you'd do it, so you have to do it. So he takes this poor kid, and he takes him to like a photo booth, and he takes pictures of him, and in the photo booth, and then he cuts the photo out, and then he takes his passport, steams his photo off of it, and then puts this guy's on, and then like irons the plastic back on there. Like they said later that it's like it actually wasn't bad, like not a bad forging job. Like if you looked at it super super close, you'd probably be like, it looks a little fucked up. But it's like no, it looked good enough to like fool most people. So he, like I said, he was a cake decorator. He was very detail oriented, so he knew what he was doing. So he took his passport and put this other motherfucker's picture in it. So he drives Ian to the place where they're doing the blood test, and Ian goes in, shows him the passport. He had told him his address and all that other kind of shit. He's like, in case they ask, just say this and that and the other. And it went off without a hitch. Ian gave his blood, and they thought that was Colin Pitchfork's blood. Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. That's the British thing right there.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta explain to me, my fucking Englishman here in the fucking chat. What does Bob's your uncle actually mean?
I'm not sure what the origin of that phrase is, but it's kind of like, and there you go.
Yeah, and Bob's your uncle.
And there you go.
Jen tried to explain it to me, but she couldn't quite really explain where it came from and how that is. But
I love British slang.
It's the weird shit.
I love language in general.
I'm sure a wrestling fan would tell us
like language
where
is very
Bob's your uncle come from.
It's very interesting to me, and I love.
That's a Britishism.
It is.
I was like,
and I love the differences between. I love like aphorisms, and it's like I love all that kind of stuff. It's just like really.
It's not a Southernism at all.
It's like all linguistics. I love that kind of shit. Like sometimes when I'm like, if I go on Reddit, like one of my favorite subreddits is actually like people that are learning to speak English. And they'll ask about like, what is this weird
expression?
Like, where does that come from, or what does that mean? And it's like, it's always really interesting, like, because some people have really good explanations for it, like explaining it to somebody that's not a native English speaker. And it's like, and I find that really interesting, and I find it really interesting, like what they get tripped up on too.
Yeah,
because I'm a native English speaker, so I don't think about it.
Brazilian Portuguese has the same thing. We would say in the United States, if something impressive, we would say wow. Okay. A Brazilian would say puxa. Puxa means pull. What the fuck does pull? What the fuck are you talking
about? There has to be a reason. But see, that kind of shit's fascinating to me, like linguistics history.
And it would say puxa saco, which means pull your ball sack.
Okay, well, I can kind of see
And you're like, yeah, if somebody pulls your ball sack, it's quite surprising, isn't it?
Like butter my biscuits.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're talking about.
That's a very Southern thing. Slap my ass and call me Sally.
Or be a puxa vida, pull life. Fuck does that mean?
That's a little weird.
Pull life.
I understand the pulling the ball sack.
Yeah.
That kind of makes
puxa saco. It kind of means like you're fucking with me.
Yeah, Tammy says it's the dog's bollocks.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
see.
Yeah.
She knows exactly because beloved British comedian Eddie Izzard, who I love, basically is like did a whole thing like about British slang, and he's like if a British person says it's bollocks, that means that's bad, it sucks or whatever. But if it's the dog's bollocks, it's really good. He's like, you could even go up to the Queen and say, that outfit, Queen, it's the dog's bollocks, and she'll say, thank you very much for saying so. You know what I mean? It's it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's very, very funny. CB says, in Scotland, Bobby, is it Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby
means prick or dick. I've never heard that one, I admit.
Yeah, never heard of it,
American, I've heard a lot of British slang, but I've never heard that one. American military says it originated Bob's your uncle. It originated around 1887, likely referring to Prime Minister Robert Bob Cecil appointing his nephew Arthur Balfour as Chief Secretary for Ireland per Google AI. Okay.
What does that have to do with your Bob being the uncle, though?
Because Bob was the uncle of the nephew. That it was like nepotism.
Okay, nepotism. Okay.
That's what I'm assuming.
So it's a nepotism joke.
Sort of, but like I said, I guess over time, because, the meanings of shit changes over time. Because now, at least what I understood, whenever anybody said that, they were just kind of like, well, ta-da, like that's...
Yeah.
And that's how it is, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it kind of meant that. You know what I mean? Maybe that's not exactly right, but that's how I interpreted it. CB says Bobby is Bobby in America. Okay. Whereas Bobby here is just a name. I know in the UK that's like a policeman, but Bobby here is just a name. We know a dude named Bobby, matter of fact. But yeah. So it all started with Bob's your uncle. So yeah. Where was I? Okay, so this poor guy goes and gives his blood for this other motherfucker. He did not think this was suspicious in the least. I mean, I don't know how good a liar Colin Pitchfork was, but if some motherfucker came to me and said, hey, bro, I need your blood because I already gave my blood for this other guy and I'm afraid that the police are going to frame me and blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, fuck, you're the killer. Come on now. I've watched enough true crime to know how this goes. But the thing about it is that, and I saw an interview with Ian as well, and he was just like, man, I felt really stupid, like, afterward, because he's like, I knew it was bad, like, I knew it was wrong, I shouldn't have been doing it, but I guess it's like he just kept bugging me, and it's just finally, he's just, fine, fuck it, I'll do it, whatever. And, like, he didn't really think it was a big deal at the time, because he didn't really think, I don't think he knew Colin that well. They worked together, but I don't think they were buds or anything. And, he was like, he didn't really think that Colin was a murderer. I mean, you wouldn't think that, would you? But, you know, he kind of beat himself up about it, like, later on. But yeah, he got 200 pounds out of the deal. So he went and he did the blood test. So obviously, because he had done the blood test for the actual killer, the cops are still not getting a match. And they're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And I don't think there was a big outcry like, oh, this DNA shit doesn't work or anything like that. But they were just kind of like, we have to be missing something. You know what I mean? It's like, we should have found him by now. Now, the breakthrough did not come until, and this was a completely chance, I don't know if it was completely chance, but this was like kind of lucky. Because I don't know how long it would have taken to catch him if this had not happened. So, it so happened that Ian and some of the other people that worked at the bakery together, like all the co-workers, like they're all at the pub. And they're all kind of drinking and hanging out and, you know, talking about bullshit. And, you know, talking about the murders because, you know, it was kind of a big topic of discussion, talking about the blood test because everyone was taking it, right? Like all the dudes were. This was in August of 1987. And one of the other people that was there was another woman, was a woman that worked at the bakery, and her name was Jackie Foggin. And she worked at the bakery with both of them. She knew Colin and she knew Ian. And Ian said, I'm not sure, because I've seen like reenactments of it, like in documentaries, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. I'm sure it's fairly accurate because they probably said, you know, they probably asked like the people that were there. But evidently they were kind of like joking and laughing. They'd had a couple pints and were talking about, you know, your weirdest coworkers or whatever. And Ian started talking about Colin and kind of what a creep he was. And like I said, all the chicks were kind of like, yeah, he is a fucking creep, whatever. And then Ian said, oh, I took the blood test for that motherfucker. And they're like, you what? You know what I mean? And they're like, the way he said it seemed like he didn't really think it was a big deal, like, at the time. Like, he was just like, oh, you know, he said he already took it for his mate, and, you know, I didn't really think anything of it, and blah, blah. But this Jackie girl was just kind of like, wait a fucking second. She's like, that's not good that you said you took the blood test for that motherfucker. So good for her, hero woman. This woman, I mean, Ian blabbed, I'm not going to say that, but the fact that this woman had the wherewithal, she's like, I'm going to fucking report this to the cops because, you know, and rightfully so. If she hadn't done that, I'm not really sure how long it would have taken. So she reported it. I don't think she reported it immediately, but she thought about it for a little while and she's like, yeah, I should report that. She's like, I don't know if they're going to believe me because I just some motherfucker saying it in a pub, you know what I mean? But she's like, I'm going to tell him just in case. So she calls the cops and she says, hey, there's this dude I work with named Ian Kelly. And he said in the pub that he took the blood test for someone else. And the cops were like, well, who did he take the blood test for? And she's like, another coworker, Colin Pitchfork. And so they're like, okay, well, we're going to fucking look into this then. So, like I said, I think this woman, kind of an unsung hero in the whole shit show, because had she not come forward, I'm not really sure how long it would have taken. Like, I feel I feel like Ian, his conscience might have gotten the better of him after a while, and he might have gone to the police, but there's no telling how long that would have taken. So the fact that he just blabbed it when he was a couple pints in at the pub, and she's like, yeah, I'm reporting that shit, that's good, because that eventually got Colin caught. Ian Kelly, I should note, also got arrested for perverting the course of justice, obviously because he had taken a blood test for somebody else, which is fraud. And he was given a sentence of 18 months, but it was suspended, so he didn't actually serve any time in prison. I mean, I don't necessarily think that he necessarily should have spent time in prison. I think he was just a dumbass who got manipulated and harangued into doing something bad. But I don't think he had any bad intentions. It was just that, but they did give him a sentence. He just didn't spend any time in jail. So after they kind of looked into it and they said, oh, we already talked to this motherfucker, we should probably go. So they finally arrested Colin Pitchfork on September 19th, 1987. He was then 27 years old. They arrested him in front of his house. And at least according to the reenactment, I don't know if this is what happened, but that would be fucking hilarious, is that him and his wife were getting out of the car, coming back from the store or whatever the fuck, and the cops closed in on him and were arresting him, and his wife was like, the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? She didn't know. And they're like, yeah, we're arresting you for the murder of, the two girls. And she was like, what, did you do that shit? Did you? And finally he's like, yeah, I did that shit. And she started beating his ass. She started you know what I mean? And they're like, man, please, we'll handle it from here. You know what I mean? Yeah, she was upset because she didn't have any idea. I think he had told her that when he got the letter for the blood test initially, that he's like, oh, I can't really take that, or he gave her some weird excuse or something like that. And she's like, well, what are you worried about? You didn't do it. And he's like, yeah, I totally didn't do it. She's like, well, go take the fucking blood test then. Quit being a baby, So when she found out that he had actually done it, yeah, she was a little upset. So they take him into custody, and because they're basically like, look, your DNA, and DNA, like I said, was very, nowadays you tell somebody, hey, your DNA matched this, you're pretty much fucked, right? But this is back in the 80s.
Back then they were like, what's that?
Well, no, he had been reading about it too. He was worried about it. That's why he didn't want to do the blood test, because he's like, man, if it can do what they say it can do, then I'm hosed.
I have an announcement.
What's that?
On Instagram, Charo was playing guitar to her dog.
Aw.
All right, and I commented on that. He loves the attention, and she just replied. She goes, "He sure does. He's my baby." If you hadn't know who Charo is, you would never understand.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
He sure does. He's my baby.
Yeah.
Who still looks great at fucking mid-70s. Charo still looks awesome. I was a little boy. My mom would let me stay up late to watch Charo play guitar on late night television.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we were talking about Bob's Your Uncle before, yeah, American Military said a blatant act of nepotism suggesting success was easy if Bob was your uncle. Yeah, so now we have the context that makes complete sense. You know what I mean? Piece of cake. That's kind of what I interpret it as, hey, piece of cake, easy. So that makes complete sense, because that means pretty much the same thing. So yeah, so they bring this motherfucker into custody, and like I said, he pretty much confessed straight away, because even though DNA was a very new technology, as soon as they said, hey, your semen sample, matched the ones from the murder victims, I think he was intelligent enough to know that the shit was real and that he was busted. So they said he pretty much confessed right away. Now, they're he did try to minimize it, for sure. And kind of blew it off it was just crime of opportunity. I was there, they were there, and it was just, I just took advantage, you know what I mean? He didn't really seem to care. I kind of feel he almost sort of low-key implied that they were asking for it, but without saying that outright, just the wording that he used. So, again, trying to minimize the shit. And, he also confessed to a couple of rapes that they didn't know about, and he said that he had exposed himself to more than 1,000 women, which, you know, probably not, you know, over the years, probably not crazy.
That bitch didn't know anything about fucking social media. He could have gone on fucking, you know, X Hamster or some shit like that.
They didn't have that back then.
Yeah, you didn't have that back then. Fucking, you know, show your dick there.
He could have just
maybe somebody would have paid to see it. You don't know.
Probably not.
The women wouldn't have paid to see it.
No.
The men
Why the
might
fuck
have
would we
paid
pay
to
to see
it.
that?
Who knows?
We don't want to see that.
Nah, women don't give a shit. Any dude who fucking tries to make money off the internet with his dick, selling to men.
Yeah. Well, like I said, what do you think happened like back in the old days when they still had magazines? It's like, hey, let's do Playgirl. Women will buy that. No, they don't.
No, they're not.
Gay men buy that. That's who buys that.
When me and Jen were streaming together, fucking a lot of dudes were there to see me.
Yeah.
They were like, go ahead and hit it. We're talking to, yeah. They're bisexual guys.
Yeah.
I guess most of them.
Well, like I said, I think,
yeah.
I think people don't, like, at the time, I think they thought, well, if dudes like looking at porn, then women must also like looking at porn.
Yeah, don't project your masculine. Like, don't project masculine.
Some women like porn. I don't mind some porn. It's just
but
like
they like girls in the porn.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Straight.
I do like some
women.
gay porn, but it's not. But honestly, like I think like I said, written erotica is like hotter than visual to me.
Most of the girlfriends or wives that I had, if they liked porn, they actually like lesbian porn or gay porn.
Yeah, same.
But fucking in there, like, but a lot of them like
some straight porn is okay, but I don't. It's not my favorite thing.
A lot of them like lesbian porn.
Yeah. No men involved.
Yeah. Well, they were kind of like lesbian porn or solo female porn because and I was like, why you like that? He goes, no, because I understand what she's going through.
Yeah. Because you can relate. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not necessarily that they wanted to fuck the girl, just that they were having empathy.
Yeah,
thing.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's hot like watching somebody else.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I feel like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, straight, you know, a lot of straight porn is for men. So it's like not really
it's a
what
male,
we want to see or
it's a product made for men.
Yeah.
That's not what
it's not really what we want to look at.
But yeah, I was like in my fucking 20s, early 20s, fucking and having living girlfriend explain to me why it is I keep finding my fucking VHS tapes at a certain scenes where, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? Well, I just like that. You know what I mean? Like, you like women? And no, I relate to it. And, and then, after a while you're like, okay, I guess I can kind of, and it's because women and men do not watch porn for the same motives. It's not the same thing. So it's just that
we're just coming at it from
there is a very different, there's a lot of difference between men and women. Do not project masculine concepts on women. They're not like that.
I mean, like I said, everything.
And once you get through that, you will have success with women.
Everything's on a spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm not super girly, but like, but I still have like a lot of women qualities.
Yeah.
And we do look at things differently.
Very different. Yeah.
I mean, just by virtue of biology and also like the way we're socialized. So we
girl I was talking
culturally we come at things from like a different perspective.
The girl I was talking about was Stephanie. She was fucking super girly, but she liked lesbian porn, and she liked dudes. She wanted to have sex with dudes. She didn't want to have sex with women. But if she was gonna rub one out,
I'll take either.
But if she was gonna rub one out, it was lesbian porn or like female solo porn. It was like it's like a kink thing or a like I said, like an empathy thing where she's now putting herself in the place of this other chick.
Yeah, like, oh, that looks like it feels
really I know what that feels like. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, for to translate that over to the male audience of any young guys who might be listening, that's the same as you getting off on a video of watching some girl do a blowjob. You don't want to suck dick. You just want to know what that feels like getting your dick sucked.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're rubbing it out to or jerking it out to some dude's dick. It's the idea you're now in that dude's place.
You're pretending you're in that dude's place. So
it's like that.
Like that chick is sucking.
Women do that same thing, watching a solo female doing things. Like,
we would just rather
that's me doing what she's
her,
doing.
like, and there not be a dude there. Because like I said, if there's a dude involved, it's usually like dude centered.
Yeah, so it kind of throws them out of it.
So
and
it kind of throws me out.
And then a lot of times the quality of the dude in the scene in a heterosexual scene between a man and woman, the quality of the dude's not that impressive visually. But in the gay scenes, the dudes are a lot better quality in porn because if a guy's extremely good, he's stacked, he looks really good, he's not going to be in straight porn, he's going to be in gay porn. That's where the money is. So the women will be more into that. And then the fact that it's two dudes together, and then they're kind of like, it's the same. They're going through the same thing a dude is going through when he sees two women going at it. So it's like you're not in it, but you're like, wow, I wish I was in it. That's
yeah.
So that's what it is.
I mean, it's really not that different when you put it that way. We're just coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah, it's just a different angle.
Yeah. And like I said, out of all of it, I like written erotica more than visual.
Yeah, that's
because you can imagine
women are more into ideas than visual.
Because you can picture whatever you want. You can make everything to order.
Males
I like that much better.
Males of all species evolved to be very visual, to respond to the visual stimuli, except with the birds. Female birds are like male humans. Female birds are into the male birds that have the most plumage. They're visual, but all the other animals, they're not. The females aren't that visual. It's more mind.
Yeah.
Mental.
You got to be like in a whole.
Yeah.
It's got to be a whole situation.
It's got to be
a
some
whole
kind
place.
Yeah, it's like
that you have to be in.
She's imagining.
I know it's a pain. It's a pain for
underneath.
It's a pain for us too.
She's imagining it is Christmas time. She's underneath the Christmas tree. Santa has come down, and that motherfucker's hung as fuck. He's hot as shit. And the husband's asleep in the other room.
I've never had that one, but okay.
Just anything is fucking weird, you know what I mean? Fuck anything that involves another dude that isn't you.
That's pretty funny.
Other people might see. It's weird shit like that.
Never had the Christmas tree one, but that's a pretty
I just
good
made that up, but that's like an example of the kind. I was just trying to make it an example.
I could write one of those for Christmas or for the holidays.
It's her birthday on Christmas with other shit, and the husband's in the other room, and the kids are asleep. And it's like, yeah.
All right, so we're almost to the end of this,
yeah.
And then we can talk about some other stuff if you want to.
All right.
But yeah, so this motherfucker goes to trial in January of 1988. He actually pled guilty, thankfully, to the 2 rapes and murders, and he also pled guilty to 2 additional sexual assaults, and also conspiring to pervert the course of justice because of the whole trading blood thing. And he got life imprisonment for the 2 murders, 10 years for the rapes, and he also got some other sentences tacked on for various other sexual assaults and stuff like that. Now, the thing about it, though, is that they did... Okay, so it's like a life term, but then there's like a minimum of 30 years, which means that after 30 years, you can apply for parole. Doesn't mean they're going to give it to you, but you can start applying for parole. So that's what he got. He got life sentence, minimum term 30 years. And then there was an appeal later on, and they said, okay, 28 years, whatever. Now, after a while, he came up for parole in 2016. He wanted early release. And at the time, they basically said, look what a model prisoner he's become. Because in prison, he had actually started doing, he got a bunch of degrees, and, he furthered his education, which, that's good, but whatever. And he started doing a thing where he would transcribe printed music into Braille, for blind people. And he got really good at that, and he did a whole bunch of it. So that was one of the things that they used at his parole hearing was look, he's helping out the community, he's changed, blah blah blah. Obviously the victims' families were like, nah, son, we don't truck with any of that. And actually, they did not let him out in 2016. They're just like, yeah, no, we're not falling for that crap. They did, however, recommend that he be moved to an open prison, which I'm assuming means that you can maybe leave, on day passes. Is it something I'm not really sure, because I know that, if you're in, a lower security prison, they'll take you out, and you can work along the highways or whatever, supervised, of course. They're not just going to let you run around. But But so I'm assuming it's something like that. So they moved him to another one, but they didn't really disclose which one it was at the time. In 2017, they moved him there. Now, 2018, he asked for parole again. And again, they said no. They're like, come back in 2 years. You know, maybe we'll talk to you then. So they left him in. However, in June of 2021, they actually did grant him a conditional parole. And they were basically like, okay, well, you can have parole as long as you don't do X, Y, Z. So they let him out in, like, I think it was September of that year, maybe. And basically, so they let him out in early September. In November, which was only a couple months later, he got brought back to prison. Because, like I said, he didn't do anything. He didn't rape anybody. But one of the conditions of his parole was you were not allowed to approach teenagers, like teenage girls in the street or anything like that. And he was doing that. So they're like, okay, well, he's up to his old tricks again. So joink, and they took him back and they put him back in prison. You know, because he was, I think he was in a halfway house, what we would call a halfway house here in the U.S. And he was noticed, like, going and trying to chat up girls and shit like that. And they're like, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that. So he got reported and they sent him back to prison. And as of this live stream, he is still in prison. And he is still comes up for parole periodically. Like, I think he came up last time in 2023. But again, they were just kind of like, at first they said, yeah, maybe we'll let him out. And they're like, no, we're not doing that. So as far as I know, I don't think that they're going to let him out again. Because, you know, they kind of got burned a little bit in 2021. They let him out for like 2 months and he was already like trying to flirt with teenagers. So they're like, yeah, he hasn't learned a goddamn thing. So they put him back in there. So he is still in there to this day. And like I said, at the moment, he is 66 years old. And I kind of hope they don't let him out. Because I don't think this kind of motherfucker doesn't learn and doesn't change. I kind of feel like these types of serial killers, these serial rapists, I'm not entirely sure they can be rehabilitated. Especially something that starts this young, these kind of paraphilias that they have. I think that they're just always gonna backslide, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it would be unwise.
This is his sexual orientation. It's not going to stage. It's not going to change.
Mm-mm.
He's going to rape girls. That's what he does. This is his
sexual
that's his
orientation. Thing.
Be like me trying not to be straight or something.
Yeah.
You're just not going to have it.
Like I said, some crimes, I think, like, depending on the personality, I think can be rehabilitated. But
hard to change
dudes like this that are so orientated in this direction, that started so young.
Yeah.
It seems like their whole identity is tied up in exhibitionism and power and doing that kind of shit. I don't think that you can help them.
Yeah, just like you can't fix a serial killer.
Yeah, well, and this dude absolutely would have become a serial killer.
It's the same thing. They just caught him.
Had they not caught him when they caught him, he would have kept going, and it would have gotten way worse. I'm sure. Like, you know, it's bad enough, like what he did, but I think he would have just kept going, and I think he would have just kept escalating. Yeah. He might have even escalated to like torture and shit like that, which a lot of them do. Yeah. So I think that's probably what happened. So thank fuck they caught. I mean, been nice if they'd have put him in prison before he killed anybody, but they didn't know. You know.
Yeah, and a serial killer is nothing more than a serial rapist who kills the victim, really. And they get into that.
And he even said that. She even said as much. He was like, he had raped girls before. Yeah. It's just that he just didn't want to be identified.
Yeah, and you're not.
So he started killing them.
Yeah, and you're not going to be able to fix a serial rapist by the time they're that's
ingrained. That's I don't think you can fix that.
That is their sexual orientation.
And they feel entitled to it. Yeah. I just kind of feel like their whole personality is so intertwined with the attitudes that they have about it that it's like, I don't think you can fix that.
Your orientation is basically part of who you are. But just because an orientation is straight or gay or bisexual, that doesn't mean that everything should be tolerated. Because when your sexual orientation involves fucking torturing and killing people and people who are not non-consensualism, no, you can't tolerate that.
Well, obviously, like I said,
So
I feel like it's stupid because I kind of feel like some people make like this false equivalence between people that are gay or people that are trans or whatever.
No, big difference.
Like, oh, that shouldn't be tolerated. I'm like, yeah, but those are consenting adults.
They're consenting adults, right? Yeah.
Duh. It's like, why is that hard for people? I know why. It's a bad faith argument. They're not making the argument.
If it's between adults, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what they do.
Yeah.
Is everyone consenting? Everyone's over 18?
Right.
Magic.
Right.
Do whatever the fuck you want. Even if I think it's gross or even if I don't approve or
They
whatever.
don't even have to be above 18, though. If you got two 16-year-olds, that's legal.
Yeah. Like I said, but I'm just
saying
saying that it's just kind of like...
that between a person who can consent and a person who can't consent, then you don't want anything like that going on.
Yeah, like whatever the situation is. If the person is
Right.
unconscious or if the person's
Right.
like, obviously, don't
Right.
fucking do that.
Right.
It's not hard. People that try to argue that it's hard have done that shit and are trying to justify it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think. And
Yeah.
like I said, or they're not arguing.
In the U.S., each state has its own age of consent law. It can be as low as 14 in these states. You cannot take a nude photograph of a 14-year-old.
Absolutely not.
And that's child pornography.
Yes, it is.
Okay? So
In
people
every
get
state.
confused. You can be 17 or 18. But if you are a 19-year-old teacher working at a school fucking with an 18-year-old student, you can't do that.
No.
So there's a lot of confusion about what's going on because you are a person in charge.
Yeah, if there's
of
a
younger
power
person.
dynamic.
There can't be a certain power dynamic.
Yeah.
So people get kind of confused over a 16-year-old in certain states, if she's legal, if she prostitutes herself to a 40-year-old, she is of age of consent. But it's not legal because fucking she's a prostitute. It's not because she's not old enough to consent. Now, in some states, they would say that she's not old enough to consent because there's statutory laws that she's...
Yeah, that would be statutory rape in some states.
Yeah, in some states, it'd be because
whether she
she's
consented or not.
Yeah, because the male is 8 years older or 5 years older than her, and she's under the age of 8. So there's all kinds of different fucking... The consent laws vary state by state. And they kind of make sense with... when you look at the history of each American state.
Tammy says 16 is the lowest age of consent in the U.S.
It is now. Yeah. It wasn't when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean,
when I in the 90s, when I was a kid in Mississippi, the age of consent was 14.
That's crazy.
In Mississippi. Yeah, but there was also statutory laws. Yeah. You couldn't be a certain amount of years older than her. And that was because she could consent at 14 if she was in high school to a dude that was in high school with her. You know? I don't think she could consent to like a 30-year-old because there was too much of a difference in the dynamic. But they had different... But it's all fucking... It's all certain places and times anyway and what the cultures are. I mean, I was just talking to a friend of mine online. Fucking, what was that chick's name? The lead singer from Bow Wow Wow. The girl that sang I Want Candy. It's a great video. She's a British girl. Malcolm McLaren, the guy who fucking started the Sex Pistol Recruiter, found her fucking singing in a laundry where she worked. She became a rock star at 13. Go back and look at Bow Wow Wow, I Want Candy. Watch that video. That girl is 13. You would never know that she was 13. She looks like she's 20. But that particular girl lived as a rock star at 13. And her mom knew.
That's fucked up.
You don't see that happening today, but it happened back then in those places of time, in those places and at that time. She went on tour. She was having sex with dudes. She was doing drugs. She lived as a normal punk rocker. She was 13. Some people were afraid of going to jail. But that's the way 1982 was, though. You know, and it was England. And I think she toured the United States. What was her name?
Who were you talking about? I missed the first part of the conversation.
The lead singer of Bow Wow Wow, the girl from I Want Candy.
Oh, yeah. She was 14. In that video, she's 14.
She's 14, but she was 13 when she joined.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's...
Anna... Shit, was her
name? Yeah, I think it was.
McGuire?
Riz?
I can't remember what her name is.
Something like that.
I know what her name is, I just can't
Her dad was from Nepal. Her mother was from England. She looks kind of like...
Nobody really realized she was that young.
I remember seeing those videos when I was a kid. I didn't know she was that young.
Yeah, she was 14 in that video.
She's 14, man. She's on the beach. I want candy.
Like I said, you wouldn't really know.
No, you'd think
like I didn't know.
You would think she was 20.
I mean, I was a kid too.
Yeah, you'd think she was 20.
I was a little bit younger than her.
Yeah. I was really like...
I think I was 10 or 11 when that video came out.
I think I was the same age as her.
Yeah, so you would have been, yeah. Because I think I was like 10 or 11.
Her. I didn't know she was my age.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But she lived as an adult at 13, 14.
Yeah, what was her fucking name? I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I was watching
Annabella.
That's right.
Annabella Rids?
No,
Annabella.
I'll know it if I hear it. But it's funny that you mentioned that because I was watching, because you guys know I've been saying the last couple times that like Tubi, I'm not paid by them or anything, but like it's a free streaming service in the US, and they have a fuck ton of really good music documentaries. And I found one last night about Max's Kansas City, which, if you don't know, was like, everybody's heard of CBGB's, right? Like New York, punk kind of club. Max's Kansas City was the other one that really doesn't get as much attention, even though it was just as awesome, and in many ways more awesome. That's kind of where Velvet Underground hang out, all the Andy Warhol people, like the New York Dolls, all that kind of stuff. Patti Smith. And it just closed a lot earlier than CBGB's did. I think it closed in 1980. So it didn't run as long as CBGB's. And one of the dudes that played in one of the bands in there, who was later in the Cro-Mags, he was playing drums in a punk band in Max's Kansas City when he was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. So he's a 12-year-old kid in with all these junkies and
prostitutes getting had and fucking all kinds of course. That's just the way it was.
And I was like,
some people can handle
it. It's horrifying to hear about nowadays. So like, oh my God, that would never happen nowadays. But it's like back then they just thought it was kind of like a lark. He was playing drums in a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was drinking.
Yeah, everybody was drinking. He was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And like I said, everyone was fucking junkies in there. Everybody.
Yeah. He made himself a man.
Annabella Lewin, thank you very much.
Yeah, Lewin. That's right. Annabella Lewin. And she was cute, good-looking girl. And she put on a great show. And she could sing. She was, But I would never know that she was 13, 14.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me
She looked like she was about 20.
Well, I mean, like I said, when that video came out, when did I Want Candy come out? 1982?
82.
So I was like 10.
Yeah.
And I got into MTV as soon as it came on, like in 1981. So I saw that video as soon as it came out, and I was only 10, so she seemed like a woman to me. Like it didn't occur to me.
Yeah, I thought she was older than me.
She was only a couple years older than I was.
I thought she was older than me. Like, she was my age.
It didn't occur to me because I still looked like a child at that age.
Yeah, Malcolm McLaren saw her fucking singing to her the radio while she was folding laundry in a laundromat.
Yeah, that's right.
And fucking recruited her and went and met her mom. And said, I'm sending her to art school. And he sent her to art school, pulled her out of there. And there was some kind of laws in place at time in England where if she was in art school, you could do things like record them singing and shit. So that's where they started making all the music. Once she was in art school, then he was able to, and she was good. She's good. I don't know what happened to her career after that. I think she's more of like a one-hit wonder. But everybody loved her.
But what a hit.
Yeah, it's a great hit.
That's a great song.
We play it every week at the club.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays it quite a bit still.
Yeah. And
like
she was
every
cute.
Couple weeks at least.
She was cute. You look at her, she had nice boobs. She knew how to dance. She was very sexually suggestive on the beach with the dudes and shit. And you would never know that she was 13, 14.
Yeah.
You think she's like 20.
Yeah, she was 14.
Yeah. But she lived as an adult. She was partying and going on tour and And I don't think they treated her as a kid, and she probably didn't act as a kid. It's just biology. That's just go look at her and you'll see. You wouldn't treat her as a kid if you saw her, not knowing her age. Yeah, it was just how it happened.
Since you brought up Malcolm McLaren, it's actually kind of funny because on the documentary I was watching last night about Max's Kansas City, Malcolm McLaren came there. And like watched bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were still a little salty that he had come there and basically like ripped off all their shit and then like took it back to England.
Yeah.
To like start punk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
he said, he came there and he was trying to like recruit some bands to like wear his clothes.
Yeah.
Because Max's Kansas City was kind of like the hip thing.
Yeah.
Like in New York City. CBGB's was hip too, but that was like slightly later. Yeah. Max's Kansas City started earlier. Like I said, it started with Andy Warhol's Contingent and Velvet Underground and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was around, and it was a lot more eclectic, I feel like. Like they didn't just have punk bands, they had all kind of bands. And it was it was like slightly hipper.
Yeah.
But yeah, Malcolm McLaren came there and he had recruited some bands like to wear his clothes and stuff, and they were like, he went back to England and like took all these ideas that he got from like all the bands that he saw play there.
John Lydon, or also known as Johnny Rotten, hated Malcolm. Okay, but I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Malcolm didn't help him with Sid, because Sid Vicious was.
He also played at Max's.
Definitely going down a wrong path with the junkiism and shit. And I think.
Well, we all know how that ended.
Yeah, I think John thought that Malcolm was profiting off of fucking Sid Vicious's demise.
I don't doubt it.
But I do respect Malcolm. Malcolm was a great salesman, and he had a great eye for talent, and he brought certain acts to light that would have been forgotten without him.
That is also
and it changed a lot.
Yeah, both things can be true.
Yeah, he knew what he was seeing, and he was trying to show it to other people. And he was trying to make money. And that you're supposed to. That's the American way. Even though he's British, that's the American way. He's going, look at these freaks, they're great. And it changed Anglo-American culture a lot.
Yeah, big time.
So no,
I don't think people realize the impact. That
right? Yeah. McLaren was in ways a genius. I mean, he did the fucking. He brought out. He was behind all that fucking. He was actually behind rap. Gangster rap. He was the first one to actually. The first white guy to figure out, hey, this gangster rap, this is going to be something. We should get behind this.
And indeed it was.
And he knew exactly what he was talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, if you have Tubi, everybody can get Tubi. It's free. But yeah, it's called, I think the documentary is called Nightclubbing.
Yeah.
But it's about Max's Kansas City. And then it's funny because after that, I was scrolling through the other recommendations. Because like I said, fucking they've got everything. And I noticed, because remember the other day when we were talking about, I don't remember if it was on Monday Night Show or Friday Night Show. And one of you guys said that, you need to get around to watching 24-Hour Party People. And Tubi has it. Because it came up, I've seen it probably like a dozen times at this point. I love that fucking movie. And so I'm scrolling through the recommendations. I'm like, bitch, they have 24-hour. But I'm like, I'm watching that again. Why not? You know, I had a couple hours before I had to go to sleep. So it's like, so I watched it again. I'm like, God damn, I fucking love that movie.
Tammy jumps in.
It's so good.
The age of consent was 18 in 1920 in Mississippi. No, it wasn't. Girls were getting married at 14. In the fucking 70s.
Well, wait a minute, though, because I kind of feel like...
They were getting married, yeah.
I feel like if your parents gave you permission...
Yeah, there was a bunch of shit like that was happening.
Because like I said, I think even if you're under the age of consent, if your parents give permission...
Then you could do it.
Then you can do it. So I think those are two separate issues.
Girls were getting married at 13 or 14 in the 70s.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, shit, Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin.
Yeah.
Like, because the parents said it was okay.
Yeah, that's another thing is that you could marry your cousin.
And that was not age of consent. And she wasn't over the age of consent.
Mississippi was not...
But the parents signed off on it.
And Mississippi was not a backward state when it came, in those days, when it came to age of consent. Oh, there were other states that was much lower, like Arkansas and shit like that. And it had to do with parental consent. which meant as long as the parents didn't file suit against you, you could do it.
It's all good.
And filing a suit against a person required money. So there's all these different stipulations. No, you could. No, I grew up in Mississippi. I remember what it was like in the 70s. Let me go to the restroom.
Counterlock says, I think Doyle from the Misfits was a teenager when he joined. Yeah, I think he was too. They didn't talk about the Misfits too much because they played at Max's Kansas City also. But I think they did mention them a couple times. They mentioned them, the Cramps. Talked about the Cramps first played there. And they weren't from New York City, obviously. They were from Ohio or somewhere. And they were like, wow, they were terrible. But the first time they played there. But, some people in the audience thought they were fucking great. I love the Cramps, you know what I mean? So they were probably just like starting out. But yeah, they didn't really have any. It's weird like to think about nowadays, but they didn't really care if like kids were in there. And like I said, everyone's drinking, people were shooting up, having sex in the bathrooms. It was kind of a shithole. I will note that Max's Kansas City, as according to everyone that went there, was like, it wasn't as much of a shithole as CBGB, because CBGB's very famously, Hilly, the guy that ran it, he had a dog and he would just let the dog shit on the floor, so there was like dog shit on the floor all the time that he never cleaned up. And also the bathrooms were notoriously disgusting, where most of the people in this documentary said at least the bathrooms at Max's were relatively clean. You know what I mean? So it's like you didn't think like you were gonna catch fucking hantavirus or something like that. Like if you were in there, it was fine. But yeah, I'm fascinated by that time period, which is why I'm watching that. But yeah, so it's just like, so after I watched that, like I rewatched 24 Hour Party People, which, like I said, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Like it's very British, like the sense of humor is very British, and I will note that I was kind of watching it again. I was trying to be, because I've seen it a bunch of times, so I was trying to kind of be objective about it and be like, if I didn't know anything about this era, about these bands, would this be as enjoyable? I'm not sure, because it's like they kind of gloss over a lot of stuff because they assume that a lot of stuff. Like they're assuming a certain level of knowledge in the audience, I've noticed in that movie. So it's like, so if you don't know, some of it they do explain, because it's a very meta, breaking the fourth wall type of movie. But I will note that if you don't know anything about who those people are or anything about those bands or anything like that, a lot of the humor of it will probably be lost on you. Because they do explain some of it, but a lot of it they don't explain.
Yeah.
And and they gloss over a lot of stuff. So it's like, so if you don't know what happened to Ian Curtis, or you don't know about Sean Ryder from Happy Mondays, or you don't know about any of that, then it's like a lot of it's just gonna be like, what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean? But if you do know, it's like it's a lot better.
Tammy now chimes in. Well, I didn't say anything about marriage. Look, you're worried too much about laws.
Well, like I said, those are two different things.
Yeah, and you're also worried about too much about laws. If you think for one second that people in Mississippi in the 70s, 80s, 90s gave any shit about any kind of laws, then you'd be wrong, because they didn't give a fuck about any of the laws. There weren't any cops. They did all kinds of fucking weird shit. I remember it. I was there, and man, there's shit I don't even want to fucking talk about. Certain things. Jen knows. Some of the people that I hooked up with, they probably have been illegal. I was young, real young. So were they, though. And oh man,
I was like, wait, do I know about that? I'm not
sure.
Yeah, you might have to tell me after, or remind me.
Yeah,
maybe you told me. And I don't
yeah.
You told me.
I told you about Diana.
Oh right. Oh
yeah.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Diana.
Because I couldn't place it. I was just kind of like, wait, who are we talking?
Technically, Diana was a cousin.
Yeah, that's.
We weren't really. And
okay,
she was,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she was older than me.
That wasn't. Yeah, I could see how that would maybe be problematic slightly, but it's kind of in a gray area.
Yeah.
But there wasn't anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have batted an eye at it, honestly.
Diana was 17. I was about 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But
it was awesome. It was fucking awesome. And she was a virgin. So I just went anal. Oh, that's
as a 14-year-old. Got a badass over
there. Yeah. And she was quadroon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it was, that was just the way the South was.
Well, shit happens.
And her side of the family sent her off to Germany. She became a fucking model and got married immediately in Germany. Because we had to evacuate her to safety. That was in a time where if you had relatives who weren't all the way white, you probably wanted to get them out of Mississippi. So
probably a smart decision.
Yeah, so she could marry a good husband. She married a German. She was a model.
They didn't care as much.
She was gorgeous. Yeah, she looked just like Barbie Benton. Who does she look like?
One of the younger people like, who?
Yeah, who the hell fuck is that? Yeah.
I kind of remember what
she like Barbie Benton, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, and she was like a second cousin.
I mean, that's not really...
Yeah, no, it wasn't incest. It was just she was in the family.
Like I said, I kind of feel like once it's a second cousin, I feel like it's not.
No, she wasn't a first
really
cousin.
Weird
she was like
anymore.
a second cousin, yeah.
Because it's just kind of like you're related, but you're not that related.
Well, it's more like Southern. It's more like the Southern stereotypical of you're fucking your cousin. Yeah, they did. Because there were small towns, everybody was related.
Everybody was related. Everybody was what are you gonna do?
A second cousin or a third cousin or a second cousin.
Bro, one time I was remember how I said my parents were in a daycare for a long time? Yeah. And this other girl who was about my age, and she was there, and we got to talking, and it turned out that her great-grandpa was my great-grandpa.
Yeah.
And I had never fucking met her or heard of her or anything. Yeah. It was like the whole other side of the family. And so it's like, so we were second or third cousins or something like that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. And like I said, it's like, and this was Florida, and my family was from Tennessee.
Yes.
So it's like, it was really weird that I just kind of like ran into her, and she was like, that's my great-grandpa. And we're like, for real? Like, it's the same dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like, wow, that's really weird. But that kind of shit happens like all the time.
Yeah.
That kind of shit happens all the time. But like I said, I never really thought I was like related to her. I was just kind of like, wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's by the time it's like 4 or 8 or whatever, like generations out, it's just kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
You're honestly, like, humans are so related anyway.
Yeah.
Because, we haven't really been around that long. That I kind of feel like once you get a few generations out, it's like not even.
Yeah.
You're just as related to them as you are related to some random ass motherfucker.
It's true. Like your great granddad, you're not really related to him. You might as well be. But the South, there's a lot of outsiders. They fucking look at the South in a weird way. The South was mostly about love. It's mostly about we all knew each other. There was a very low population density. It's small towns of people that grew up around each other. Everybody knows everybody. It's friends of the family, and then all the children of your dad's friends, or you consider them your cousins, even if you're not related to them. So friends of the family are cousins, even though they're technically not related to you. So it's just it was, and this is another time in the 80s and the 70s before, and cable TV was new. The British New Wave was coming in, and we're replacing all this old fucking crappy fucking country music and fucking crappy ass fucking metal music from the fucking California and shit. Just crazy shit, And it was just another time, And everybody was young and everybody was kind of dumb, and laws didn't really matter to us. It was all hot. We just thought everybody was hot. We didn't give a shit. As long as everybody wanted to have fun. We were all kind of underage anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really have an issue as long as there's not a huge age gap, and as long as no one's being coerced into anything.
Yeah, and fucking let's be honest, because we were Southern feral kids from Gen X. We were sexual early, 7, 8, 9. I was fucking into 7, 8-year-old 9 girls and shit. We'd make out, and we just didn't, we weren't really worried about it. It was just the way you grew up. Kissing girls and shit. and it wasn't like overly religious. And my first girlfriend was my babysitter, even though I never did anything with her. I just loved her, Kimmy. You know, she's probably about 14 or 15. I was about 10. She'd take me to the movies because my mom told her to, and I would just be totally in love with this Princess Leia. She looked like fucking Princess. I showed Jen. I was talking about her one time. Jen was getting jealous. I showed her a picture of me and her because I got pictures of her. She goes, "Oh yeah, she's just a little girl." Yeah.
But yeah, she is a little.
She was just a little girl, and I was just to me that was my first girlfriend. You know.
I wasn't getting jealous. I just wondered about her because you talk about her all the time.
And then she got a boyfriend and fucking like that, and he had a car. And Jimmy and Mike were with me when they saw it.
Crushed Tom's heart.
And
he's like, well, I can't drive.
And then they left in the car together.
I'm 10.
Yeah, I was like 10. They left in the car together. You know what I mean? And Jimmy was like, "There goes your girlfriend. He's got a car." I was like,
Did you cry?
No. No. I was like, oh.
That'd been funny.
No, I just had to accept the fact that I was 10.
Well, yeah.
And that he was 17.
You're 10, you can't drive.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess technically you could drive, but you probably shouldn't.
No, I had to accept the fact that I was 10.
You probably shouldn't.
That I was 10 and he was 17 and she was 16 or so by that time, and I didn't have a chance, you know.
You know.
That's just part of growing up, you know.
Yeah, it's realizing that it's like no 14, 15-year-old girl wants to go out with a 10-year-old.
No, of course, and it wasn't sexual.
Weirdo.
It wasn't sexual. It was love, you know.
Yeah, Gramper says, still, family diddling is never a good thing. It never is. But like I said, once you get past the second cousin, I kind of feel like
a second cousin.
Yeah, that's like not really that.
You can marry a second cousin. They're not really related.
Yeah,
to
I don't even think that's illegal.
I wasn't actually related to her by blood. It was just marriage.
Yeah, I think that's what this girl that I met at the daycare, I think it was the same thing. I think that's why I didn't never met her before.
Right.
Because she was like from this other wing of the family. Yeah. And like I said, I think it was marriage, so I don't even know if it was blood relation. We did have the same great grandpa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like several generations.
She had her kin had married into the family.
Yeah, so it's like so you're not even
when you're related to her. But in the deep South though, relation is beyond blood marriage. It's you married into the family, so you're family. That was just kind of the thinking. But they would call them kissing cousins.
Yeah, I've heard.
You could still marry them, but they were family. But they weren't related to you.
Zach says, "Well, I'm late as fuck. Can I get a recap of everything?"
No, that's all.
Man, we already finished the fucking story. Come on,
yeah. Oh, it's finished already? Okay.
Well, yeah, I told you.
We're now in the entertainment factor.
The dude's still in
we
fucking
entertained
prison.
these motherfuckers all night and didn't get a single super chat. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the collection, play it around. Jen worked hard on this fucking show. We didn't get a single super chat. I'm just going to put it out there. You don't have to, but it would be nice.
He's trying to make you feel bad.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make y'all feel bad.
He's just kind of like, you know those ASPCA commercials where they show you like the sad puppies and kitties and stuff? That's what he's doing. That's the equivalent.
Tammy says that I think that I misunderstand what she says a lot of time.
You do kind of.
Maybe I do. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I'm trying to take what you say too far, but I'm just no. I'm an open-minded man because I have.
Well, they'll be so open-minded that your brain falls out.
You know what I mean? And
but like I said, the situation that you were in,
I have a code that I live by, but I'm not moral in the way that you would think because my morality is very different. Thank you very much.
Oh, Gramps gives.
Gramps.
He felt bad. Somebody felt bad for us.
Yeah, you feel bad.
Don't feel bad. It's alright.
Thank you. He sent us $2.
He's only one that's shameless enough to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm open-minded too, but it's just like up to a point. Like I said, as long the situation you were in.
Yeah.
That you just reminded me of.
With Diana?
Yeah, it's just like that. It's a little bit. It's not that weird to me. It's just like I could see that happening.
Technically, I was underage. She wasn't.
Well, you're both kind of underage.
But I don't think under the Mississippi's laws at the time it would have been a problem.
I don't think so either.
I don't think my parents would have filed suit against her.
No.
They would be like, "Oh, good job, girl. Thank you for taking care of it." They would
probably back in those days.
Yeah. It was just
but they would have been bothered.
Yeah.
By it.
But you know what I mean. Fucking. So that's what I'm saying that. there's always like mitigating circumstances, especially in those days. That was no problem.
Yeah, like shit like that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's going to be on a case by case basis because
Yeah.
you don't know if they're both technically underage, which you were.
I don't think she was technically underage.
Well, I mean, if you're under 18, that's what.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like you just kind of have to look at the circumstance.
I was underage.
Well, yeah, you were big time.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. I think that all of that has to be.
And I was absolutely willing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and she wasn't in a position of power over you or...
No.
You know, she wasn't your teacher or...
No. She wasn't my employer.
Or babysitter or nothing like that. So it's not like she was, like, making you do something that you didn't want to do.
Oh, hell no.
So, you know.
No, I thought she was awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of different.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different dynamic. That's why I think that you can't really have...
Jen loves it when I tell her the stories about the time I got abducted by Bananarama and the Go-Go's. They took me on tour.
I photoshopped that shit.
Yeah, she photoshopped it, but like, you know, those girls fucking just wore me out. I don't know. That was my trauma. My trauma was the Go-Go's and Bananarama. Siobhan Fahey, she's the one that did the most damage to me.
I know, terrible.
I just couldn't.
He still has PTSD over it.
I got PTSD over Siobhan Fahey.
For real, like
things that she made me do.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna have to describe that in detail. But like, yeah. So still, like when we're at Barbarella, every time they play Bananarama or the Go-Go's,
yeah,
I'm always kind of like, "There's your girlfriends. Are you having PTSD?
Like, oh.
Or remember that time they
then I gotta relive all this.
They
trauma.
threw you in the van.
Yeah. I was only 13.
They didn't really.
Fuck, you know.
They didn't really turn it over. It was just kind of like
those girls.
Yeah.
God, they're so bad.
I know.
Naughty.
I told you I met Jane Weedland.
Yeah.
At a horror convention.
Yeah, she's
years
cute.
ago.
That little one. Yeah, she's cute. Yeah.
She is darling.
Yeah.
She was like was cool as shit.
Yeah, she's cute.
She's one of the coolest people. Her and Linnea, I think her and Linnea Quigley, I think, were the coolest people I ever met at any of those.
Out of the Go-Go's, I think she's actually the cutest one. Even though I would say
she's so small.
Belinda probably had the most fucking charisma because she was the front woman. But she was like physically the cutest one, I think.
She's so small.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like when I met her in person.
Yeah.
Like she was behind the table, you know, and I was talking to her, and I'm like, oh my god, you're Jane Wayland, blah, blah, blah. And like she just jumped up on the table, like, and like on her knees like that, and I was like, oh my god, she's like a little elf.
Yeah.
She was like elf size.
Yeah, she's cute.
She was like a little elf.
Yeah.
But it's just like, she was like super, super nice.
And
I think she was excited that I knew who she was.
If you look at Bananarama, Siobhan was the little Irish one. She was the little bad girl, and she was the one that she didn't go to high school with the other two girls. She was like the new addition to band to make it a trio. But that was my favorite one, the little cute blonde.
I mean, she's clearly the best.
And she ended up being goth. She went and did Shakespeare's Sister.
Decent band.
And I was like, oh, I knew there was something about her. You know what I mean? And she's making videos still on YouTube.
Yeah, she's
the new Shakespeare Sisters video, and she's older than me. She's pushing 60 now. She still looks great. She looks great. Fucking aged very well. She's a good-looking old lady. You know, sexy. And the outfits and her partner and everything, very good. She married some guy in England, you know, fucking guy that had money, you know. That's what gets them. But I'd like to meet her. I'm sure she's probably very cool. I've seen interviews with her, Siobhan. But her solo stuff, her Siobhan Fahey solo stuff, really good. She's doing fucking goth covers and fucking Velvet Underground covers. You know, so I'm sure we get along with her. Probably we speak the same language, you know. But
we could drag her.
But when I was a boy, that was the one, man. That was the one that got away. She's older than me, you know what I mean, and fucking super hot. And I could never get that, you know what I mean, fucking as a kid. You know, like, damn. Yeah, but she was cute, yeah.
Just like I could never get Simon Le Bon.
I like Simon Le Bon, yeah.
when I was.
That was my version.
When I was 11.
Yeah, Siobhan. Exactly.
She was a grown ass man.
Yeah, she's already a grown ass person. Yeah, but Siobhan was my version of your version of Simon Levine.
Yeah,
like the older person that you couldn't get.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
like I said, they're grown ass man.
Yeah,
it's like one day when I'm grown up.
Yeah, but now they're old.
Yeah, but they're old
and married and long gone with kids and shit. It doesn't happen that way, you know.
Oh, Gramter says, Mary Lynn writes about, you know who that is, smushing someone named Dom from high school in her book Famish.
It's probably me.
Any idea who she is referring to?
In high school? Me. Maybe.
Did you know any Doms?
There's no Dom. No.
Unless you meant dominant.
That
could also
Well, it depends on what she's talking about.
Because now we're gonna have to get that book. Tom.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna have to like.
It may not be me. It may not be me. There was a couple other guys that could have been the code name she could have been. I never actually had vaginal penetration with Mary Lynn. It was all just oral stuff and making out, heavy petting and shit, blowing each other. She was great. She was fun, but she was dating other guys before and after.
Like, were y'all ever like exclusive?
By today's standards, I'd say no. Because when you're in high school, exclusivity might only be a few weeks.
Yeah, it is like a lot shorter.
Right. So I'm not sure exactly what she's talking about.
I'm gonna get that book now and see.
To see how well I performed at those days.
Well, it might
if
not
you guys
be
know
you.
who she's talking about, Marilyn Rice
get some dirt.
Marilyn Rice Cup. She's an American celebrity. That was my girlfriend when in high school, and we went to drama school together. She's cute. She's extremely. We still talk every now and then, make comments on shit. She's divorced now, has kids. She still looks great. She was a comedian for a long time. Me and her are friends. Okay? If we saw each other now, it's not like we'd be jumping all over each other's bones. It would be like me seeing you, Gramthers, or Steve or something. It's like friends back in the past. Which means we'd be more honest about it. Because we were kids when all this shit was going on. We weren't fully developed. But no, I got great memories of Mary Lynn. Yeah. And it really, is because how much it didn't have anything to do with the sex or anything like that. You know what I mean? Because you're a kid, you're easily impressed. She was a good person, and she was one of my friends. She just happened to be female, which makes a different dynamic when you're a teenager. You know what I mean? You don't see them the same as your male friends back then. But when you get older, you're like, yes. Had she been male, she'd have been like this guy, this and that. Because the sexual dynamic when you're in high school, when that's added to the mix, the friendship is kind of fucking skewed because the hormones are taking over. And your lack of experience and your lack of fucking self-understanding of who you are, But I have to read exactly who it is she's talking about. Could have been...
yeah, I'm going to totally go get that ebook.
Oh, you're going to get the ebook? When I hear the whole story in the background, I'll know who it is, if it's me or not.
I'm going to go read it.
But if she's talking about fucking actual full penetration and shit, it's not me.
Yeah.
No, I didn't actually have sex with that one. No.
Not, well, oral sex, that still counts.
Just oral stuff, hanging out and fucking, That
still counts.
Yeah, no.
That still counts.
I counted everything. Any kind of sexual contact, I always counted. But in those days, we were afraid of getting each other pregnant because we weren't. Nobody was on the pill.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you
couldn't
tell your parents. That's a legitimate
concern.
Yeah.
Don't want to be fucking pregnant when you're 16 or 17. That would suck.
The one that fucking remember Jean? I still talk to her. Jean Petrowski, the little punk rock girl. Yeah. Okay. And that was only like a couple weeks. But I still love Jean. I'll talk to Jean and everything. She's married now, and she's somebody's mama. It's funny to see these. And what really thing that fucking impressed me about Jean is back in high school with us Grampers, she had a Black Widow fucking spider tattooed on her fucking shoulder.
It was kind of a big deal back then.
That shit was sexy as fuck.
Girls did not get tattoos.
I was like, she is such a bad girl.
Much.
And you got earlier on the show, I was talking about how much I liked bad girls. I love bad girls. And Jean was not a bad girl. She was a good girl, but she had a fucking Black Widow spider tattooed on her. I think I showed you that photograph she sent me.
Yeah.
Of the Black Widow spider. Yeah, she was cute. Yeah. And she looked just like the girl from Beetlejuice.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, but the character.
Playing Lydia Dietz.
Yeah, Lydia?
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked just like Lydia. Same haircut and everything.
I always wished I had hair like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I could if I teased it long enough.
Yeah.
But they said I look good with teased hair, but the next day, I always have to like comb all the knots out, and it takes forever.
Grandpa's knows what I'm talking about. Gene Petrowski had the fucking whole, like, almost the faux hawk fucking thing going on. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, Tammy said 24 was a great show. I don't think, you know what? I don't think
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw, like,
I've only seen a few things of it.
Yeah, parts and
so she knows who that is.
Yeah, everybody knows who that is.
Yeah, that's my ex.
Yeah.
And really, I call her my ex just so you guys know that fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it was at that level. But really, what was better about her is that we were friends for a long time. We were friends for years. That was more important than us hooking up. She was really cool. And I liked her mom and I liked her dad. Yeah, because I'd go to their house all the time. I got slides of her at my birthday party. I gotta fucking point that out. Yeah. I had to bring those fucking slides out. But I gotta project them and then
take a picture.
Take a picture of it.
Yeah, I found that. I saw those slides the other day.
I got slides of her at my birthday party.
Got all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All kind of photos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna definitely look that book up though.
Jen's now fucking curious. She may not be talking about me.
She
There's
might not
about
be.
3 or 4 other guys.
But I want to see
that it could be.
I might know if she's talking about you or not.
Yeah. It could be 3 or 4 other guys.
I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like that motherfucker.
Because there was Charlie. She was dating a guy named Charlie too. Around that same time, I like Charlie. He was taller than me though, and he was kind of like a. He looked kind of like a more toned down version of fucking Nick Cave. So could have been. Yeah, you would have liked him. You would have liked Charlie.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he looked like Nick Cave. So it could be that could be who she's talking about.
I was into young Nick Cave.
Which I knew Charlie. I like Charlie too.
Even though he was a junkie.
It was
big time.
Yeah.
But still, he was an interesting junkie.
Fucking Grappers was there. We grew up together. He knows what the deal was. Is that in that era, we would be friends, real friends with somebody all the time, but we would date other people simultaneously.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a pretty common.
It wasn't quite the same thing where you were like going steady.
Yeah.
And
I think
there was a time when me and Mary Lynn, I'm calling her Mary. We called her rice cakes. That was what I called her. Everybody else called her rice cakes. Rice cub. We called her rice cakes. Me and rice cakes fucking were like a thing for at least a couple weeks, but maybe a little bit more. We were so young, I don't really remember. But that didn't really matter. We were friends. And we had friends in common, and we would fucking go to the Leicestershire. We would go to the fucking shows. We go to the Pine Knob Theater, watch fucking shows at the Pine Knob, and Steve, my best friend Steve, was involved in all that. Steve dated her too, which I think is probably where all this stuff about me being kind of like open to like weird pansexual type of situations is that me and Steve, who's my best friend, would date the same girls at the same time. And sometimes we would like fuck around with the girl at the same time. We're like, we're going to send this bitch to the moon. You ready? Okay, come on, let's get her. And we call her up, bring her over here. And it's just how we were. We were I kind of grew up doing like devil's threesomes with Steve, you know. The Grandpa's goes to see Steve all the time now. Yeah, this is how he was. We didn't really think much of it. It's just how it was. We'd be talking about some girl that we liked, and we'd be like, yeah, oh, she's awesome. Call her. Okay, we're going to call her. We'd be talking on her on the phone. We'd get her to come over. You know? We're going to come get you. She's like, okay. All right, we're going to pick you up. You ready? All right, we're on our way. Okay, and we go get her. And then we drive around, talking about fucking moon, talking about fucking all kinds of weird science and shit, you know. I could talk about spirituality, and the next thing you know, we just make it out with her pulling her shirt off and shit. Jen would have loved it. Jen would have loved it if she was there. She's like, hold on, let me throw into this. Let me get into this. Yeah.
You're not gonna leave me out.
Yeah. Don't leave me out. Okay, come on. Come on in, jump on in.
I'd be sitting there outside of the car being like, yeah, you guys have fun.
Raptors remembers we'd be all at the fucking movie theaters together and shit, fucking car bouncing up and down. You're fucking with the girl in the back. Me and Steve fucking high-fiving each other across the fucking seats and shit in the front seat. Stud and his girlfriend would be out in the fucking back of the car, their car bouncing around. It was the fucking that drive-in movie theater there in Trenton was like a fucking motel for underage fucking high schoolers fucking in the cars, you know. Public sex and shit. It was another era. You youngsters don't know what you're missing. That shit was so fun. You'd have loved it, Jen. They didn't have that shit going on in Florida, or you were just...
Yeah.
They did? Yeah. Okay.
Well, how would you know? You never asked me.
Yeah. I know. Were you doing that kind of shit here in Florida?
People were, yeah.
People were? Okay. You were staying out of it? Okay.
Mostly.
It was hot up here, maybe. It was hot down here. Maybe that had something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, we don't like that.
I don't know.
We're staying in the air
Mom's
conditioning.
go to the restroom.
Grampter said about the tattoo. She would have gotten that at the Gibraltar Trade Center tattoo booth in Taylor.
Yeah.
They wouldn't ask for ID for high school kids. We all got tats there.
Exactly. That was fucking Taylor where she got that shit. Yeah.
Man, I was good. I waited until I was 18 before I got my first tattoo. Because there was actually a tattoo shop, a pretty good one that all the bikers went to. It wasn't literally next door, but it was like right by my grandma's house. Like my grandma's house was right here, and the tattoo shop was right there. So that's where I went to get my first one. But my first one has been covered up by this one. Like it's actually under this one. Tammy says she had a funny interview about people commenting on her resting bitch face. She said she couldn't help it. It was just her face. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just kind of like, I don't get so much resting bitch face, but I do get asked if I'm sad a lot. Like if I'm just kind of spacing out, like thinking about whatever. And people be like, what's the matter? I'm like, nothing's the matter. Why would you think anything was the matter? I'm just like, that's just what my fucking face looks like. Sorry. I can't really do anything about it. Zach says, I myself just got back from a hookup in a park restroom. Man, good for you. Good for you. Like, was it at least a clean restroom? Please tell me. Because it's like, that's kind of hot, but the idea of like hooking up in a really gross one just like kind of makes me want to vomit a little bit. Counter Rolex said, my first tattoo was a high school graduation gift from my dad. See, that's cool. My dad actually didn't have any tattoos until me and my siblings started getting them, and then he decided, hey, that's cool, I'm gonna get some too. Now he's got a whole bunch, which I thought was kind of funny. I think I was the first one to turn 18, so I was the first one to get one. And then my sister has way more tattoos than me. She's got them like all over.
I went ahead and get my other tablet. Gene sent me a picture of that fucking tattoo a long time ago. Let's see if I saved it.
Zach says, well, it was clean. Oh, until you guys were done with it? I see. All right.
What's he talking about?
Oh, he just returned from a hookup in a park bathroom.
Who did?
Zach.
I
said, well, please tell me at least it was a clean bathroom. I'm kind of grossed out by because I'm always kind of picturing like the fucking train spotting bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
What is the train spotting bathroom?
You don't remember the scene in Train Spotting where he lost the fucking thing down the toilet, like the shit toilet, and had to like crawl in there?
It's been so long since I've seen Train Spotting.
Man, that scene makes me... I love that movie, but that scene makes me fucking gag like every single time. But that's what I picture. That's why, you know how when you're sleeping, I don't know if everybody does this, but I know I'm not the only person because I've heard about other people. But you know when you're sleeping and like you have to pee when you're sleeping, and then like you'll start dreaming that you're looking for a bathroom?
Yeah.
And it's like, but every bathroom you find is like you can't use it for some reason, like it's broken or it's like really disgusting or there's somebody in there watching you or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's kind of what I picture. Like every time I dream about a bathroom, like it looks like the fucking Train Spotting bathroom.
Yeah.
Or it's all open and like everyone's just like, what's the matter? Like, why don't you just pee? Zach says, also I'm still in Facebook jail. Yeah, like I said, I've heard about a lot of people having that problem. I have not had that problem yet, but I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. AI is like flagging everyone's accounts, I guess, and like suspending people for no fucking reason.
Put my glasses on and see if I still have that photograph. I may have fucking deleted it by now. I hope I didn't. I wouldn't mind showing that. That's something from the fucking past. Fucking Black Widow spider on the fucking photograph on the fucking shoulder of like a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, it was unusual. Like I said, even when I got a tattoo in the 1990, when I was 18, it was still kind of unusual then for girls to have tattoos, especially where, well, I mean, girls had tattoos, but not where you could see them. And if you did have them, usually bikers or strippers or like trashy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in Daytona where there's like a lot of trashy people, so it wasn't that unusual in Daytona. But even when I got my first tattoo, like the tattoo artist, whose name was Charlie, he's passed away now. But he was kind of well known in the biker community. And he said, "Are you sure that you want this tattoo on your arm?" Because and I remember him telling me this, people think things about girls that have tattoos on their arms. Yeah. He's like, "You want me to put it somewhere you can hide it?" And I was like, "Man, don't be a pussy. Just fucking..." Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Like, no, I'm good.
I said, I told you to put it where you put it where I told you to put
Generations changed, man. Times changed.
He was an old man at that point, and I was 18, so I was a little full of piss and vinegar, as they say. So I was just kind of like, why don't you just put it where I told you to put it? How about that? I'm the one paying for the shit.
Man, I can't believe it. I think there's Jean. That's what she looked like. But I'm now gonna try to find if I still have that photograph of that shoulder. Remember her, Grafters? Remember? She'd be sitting out there fucking smoking cigarettes, sitting like that out in front of school. That's out in front of the school. Yeah, that was Jean.
Counterlock says, "Jenny, the tattoos on your arms, you're only one so far." Yeah. I actually, like I said, the one my first one was like under this one, and then I got this one and like covered it up, and then I got this one. Well, actually, I got this one, and then I got this bigger one. So I technically have 3, but one's a cover up of the other one. I've been wanting to do a big bag piece for a long time. I just haven't been able to like afford it, or I kind of know what I want, but I just haven't been able to get them. Like, I haven't been able to like get together enough money or like justify paying that much money for it. You know what I mean? Because honestly, this one, our friend Jacob did it, and I don't know how much. I mean, this would have cost a lot. Like if I go to a shop and he did it for $600, which is not bad. And he did it all in one sitting at our house. Actually, yeah. I think it took 10 hours.
Yeah. Did that shit fucking semi-illegally.
Yeah, he brought all the shit. Like, he did it in our bathroom. Like, at our old house, we had, like, a big, huge bathroom. And he just set all his stuff up in there, and him and his wife, his then wife, like, stayed overnight, and he did the outline. And, like I said, normally if you have tattoos, especially if it's elaborate, they'll do the outline, and then, they let it heal up a little bit, and then you come back, and then they do all the color. But I was like, hey, he's like, well, I'm here. So, and I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, if you're all right, I can do it like all in one sitting. So I was like, yeah, I'd rather just get it all done at the same time. So yeah, we did like a whole marathon 10 hour sitting. Like where we just got it all done all at once. Cause I don't want to have to drive all the way out. I don't want to him have to drive all the way out to our house again. Cause we kind of live out in the middle of nowhere. Zach says, there's a guy couple I follow, and they have wedding ring tattoos, which, boy, they'll be awkward if they ever divorce. That's, you know what, that's a thing. Like, that's fairly common nowadays, getting wedding rings tattooed on instead of getting actual rings, which I think is kind of nice. You won't lose it, or you won't get too fat to wear it anymore, or whatever. Like, but yeah, I mean, but the thing about it is that if you get divorced, you can just, like, turn it into something else, or you can just get it removed. It's just on your finger. So it's not really that big of a deal. Wouldn't take that long to laser that off. Or like I said, you could just get it turned into something else if you were... It's better than getting somebody's name tattooed on you, right? Don't ever do that. Unless it's actually, my dad has me and my 3 siblings has all of our names tattooed on his arms, which I thought was kind of nice. And my sister has one, like in she has a bunch of tattoos, but she has one like in memory of my grandma also. So I thought that was kind of, it's like if it's in memorial of somebody, like obviously, but don't get like your girlfriend's name tattooed on your boyfriend's name. You're just asking for trouble. Unless you can find another girlfriend or boyfriend with the same name, you know. All right, so it's like 10:30. Should we like wrap it up?
Yeah, you can wrap it up.
I mean, I'm kind of hungry and
all right,
it's getting kind of late, and I probably got to get up semi-early tomorrow and do my shit. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. It was a good conversation as always. Thank you very much for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you for your super chats. We'll be back again on Friday night for the Sidetrack show, which is always fun. So hopefully y'all can join us for that. Have a good rest of your night, you guys. Have a good day tomorrow. And we will see you guys again on Friday night. Good night.